every day. And therefore, when they're saying they're telling the truth, that really kills that argument completely. So let's go to the important part of this story you've been sharing with us, because as you know, we're involved in the ceremony that took place at Uluru, which was part of what we think. There was two words I took, two different comments made by two children. One called it the arrival, and the second one spoke of the 7 who will be coming. What's your take on what that meant?
Well, this 7-year-old mentioned exactly that. He mentioned the 7 that will be coming, and this is a couple of years ago. This was actually, it's in the book. So that's 4 years ago. He talked about the cat people as well. So there's so much more to that. Oh. There's more to that story. I've just encapsulated a small amount because I never have enough time to say everything. So, but it's in the New Human. He talks about the 7 who will be coming and the cat people, and he talks about the fact that the craft come through portals in the pyramids because they're everywhere. He said across the planet. So there's more to that story. There's a lot more, and that was from just seeing those pictures of Tracy's.
It's amazing, isn't it? That's the same prophecy. What you're talking about, isn't it amazing how the prophecy these children have is exactly the same prophecy that the Hopi have, that the Inuit, that the Mayans have, and what the original people have with the ceremony at Uluru. What they're saying is exactly the same thing, and it's coming from a completely different avenue, isn't it? So they're talking about this arrival. That means we're talking about there's a time in the future where their implied and inferred existence becomes a knowledge for everyone. But will everyone be here when that happens?
Well, it's hard to know how the event, some are calling it the event.
Yes, I've heard that word a lot, yeah.
The shift in consciousness, and whether or not we separate out, depending on the souls that are ready to move to that other level, and the souls that still choose to stay in 3D for their soul's growth and their own understanding. And we know that we're all at different levels of awareness, although we're all equal, we're at different levels of awareness as humans. So there'll be some that say, no, I choose this time to go to that other frequency, but the others will say, no, I'm going to stay in 3D because that is suiting my soul purpose right now. So that's how I've come to understand it.
Right, yeah, that tends to be my understanding too. And of course, the question mark in that is that after that separation, what next? And that's a part that I can't work out. And it's sort of like, it sounds to me that these children that have come, the ones from after 2000, were specifically coming here to prepare for the event. And would that be, Mary, would that be the underlying reason why aliens have been here for so long and tolerated the chaos and all the stuff we've done? Is that the major motivating factor?
Well, what I'd like to say to people that still have this, the aliens are out to get us. Let's look at the survey. The survey that finally, to me, shows their true agenda or intent or programs is this. When we did the 4,200 survey, we asked at the end of it how they felt about or what happened to them from their experiences. And 85% noted a psycho-spiritual transformation. 85%. Now, if that doesn't give you an answer to agendas, programs, motivation, or whatever, that in itself, to me, says it all.
Actually, it does. It's interesting, but it needs to happen. Of course, that faith needs to happen in a situation where there really is a division taking place within the whole planet. That seems to be a good way to finish your talk, Mary. I think that's what this is leading up to. Yeah, I like that word, the event. We've heard it often, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mary. I've got questions. There was a few others, but unfortunately they got done because you covered them before. But we got the two main things out of that. First of all, that these children that are around now really will become our leaders in the future, and we have to nourish and care for them. And secondly, they're all talking about the arrival and the 7 who will be coming. Don't need to say any more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, yes. We'll go back to our Who's doing it? Omar. We'll go back there. Thanks, mate. We're finished, I think.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Mary. That was amazing. Learned a lot of stuff, and you were answering my questions as they were coming up. So it was almost like we were on that same wave, and you were inside my head and going, "Oh, that's the question coming up. That's the question coming up. I'll touch that. I'll touch that."
I've got scratches out everywhere.
Yeah, there's all scratches and stuff.
Yeah, that was very cool. I just, one thing I've noticed across the world that people that I've been talking to, and even like on Facebook and social media and such, one thing that's consistent is that a lot of people have been saying is that my child is so smart. My child is doing things before I did, walked before me, cooked before me, talked before me, and all of that. And it just doesn't seem like it's, just an isolated thing here and there. It just almost seems like every single household across the world is experiencing this very same thing. And even Steve touched on that. A lot of these kids that are born late 1990s, early 2000s, and now that they're maturing and coming to age, right, this paradigm shift is happening. So I wonder if that has anything to do with the current situation that we're in globally. I don't mean by what's happened in the last year. I just mean like overall, like the wars that we've been fighting for centuries, and the division that we have religiously and spiritually with one another, and this competition that we're involved in, that I can do you better, or I'm going to cut your grass so I can profit. That's kind of what I mean by this current situation that we're in. So I wonder if this new hybrid human that's coming in is part of that process for us to go into this shift that we're going into. Like the Aborigines speak of coming to a crossroads. The Hopi speak of the same thing. So is that all connected somehow?
I think so, mate. When you said that, it reminded me of a Hopi prophecy. And by the way, we've got a new one I'm going to show you today. And it said this in the finish. It said, the time for the lone wolf is over. And that's what you're talking about. All those things, the one that doesn't care for anyone but themselves and will take anyone on the way through, and it's collateral damage. It's finished. And that's what this is about. I look upon our days of today as wonderful days because there is a change. Don't worry about the background information. What Mary was talking about is what the children were sensing and why they're here, for the arrival and for the 7 who will be coming, which I've written down. I saw them as pivotal statements in Mary's presentation. It tells me why these children were chosen and what their role is. All we got to do is listen. And if we don't listen to our children, you're right. You're right, Omar. There's lots of children that are popping up all over the place. I've seen quite a few. Fully. You look inside their eyes and think, oh, that's an old soul and they're here for a reason. And this is it. Yeah. So, yeah. And the only question mark for me is how this change actually eventuates and what happens then. But I do know that that final ceremony at Uluru was the confirmation and the final step in it. It is going to take place. And all we got to do is listen to what Mary was talking about with the children. And they'll give you the details. Yeah.
And that flash that we all saw, right? Yeah. That was like the beginning, right? Off to the races, like the gun going off when you're about to run the marathon, right? That flashlight went, and it's like, all right, it's now or never.
And all those children who came here for all those different reasons from all over the cosmos were hoping that flash went off too, because now they've got a role to play. And like Mary's showing us now, these children she talks about, they'll be our future leaders, not the rubbish we've got now. And that's the important part of the equation. We choose our right leaders, then we become what we're supposed to. And that's what the kids are here for. So our job, particularly the older ones amongst us, particularly me, is help get the place ready for them. That's it. That's all we're here
Mary,
for.
Your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. And just briefly saying is what I think that's going on across the planet now is actually they're aware these kids are here and they're doing their very best to stop them doing what they've come here to do. And they're trying everything wherewithal. But you know what's interesting is a lot of these kids can cure themselves. That's what they don't realize. They have the ability to do that. And, foreign organisms, all that stuff, they can heal themselves. So they're on a loser when it comes to that, even though they'll try.
This is what tomorrow's about. Yeah.
Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
No, all I'm going to finish with is this is what this tomorrow is about. It's these children were chosen. The event was preordained from a long way back. We've heard that term so often. It's real. This is what this was all about. And all the background stuff means nothing. Everything's about that. Remember, for something Russell Brand, I know a lot of people don't like him, but there's something I do agree with what he said. He said that if we have found out that aliens really exist and they have been part of our history and our genetics, that is the most important spiritual revelation humans have ever been given, ever. It changes everything, our behavior, our daily thoughts, and what we do every second, because it gives us an understanding of things we don't have. There's nothing more important than understanding that and getting that. So, yes, these children are part of that message, and we have so little time left to either embrace it or move out of the way.
I like the embracing part. I think that's the way to go. I'm pretty excited myself. My daughter's pregnant, and she's going to have a baby in about 3 months. And I just have this just this feeling that this baby is going to be a starseed. It's going to be a special baby. So I've already made my plans in my mind. Is that when the baby is born, I'm going to hold her, and I'm going to meditate and use my right brain and try to make a telepathic connection with her to see if she can communicate back with me. And if she can, then wonderful, because then we've made this connection. And also, I was thinking that when the baby cries, I'm going to every time my baby cries, so that you can I guess my baby too. Going to and use that vibration, right, to comfort the baby. And also, in my mind, what's it's telling me is that as the baby grows and she goes into the future, then that and that dreaming, that daydreaming and meditation is going to be a part of her life for the rest of her life, and she'll be able to use that harmonics, for herself, and maybe even expand on it and teach me a couple of things or two when we make a connection.
That sounds like a really good plan, mate. I'd definitely do all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't do it last time, but I got another opportunity.
There's always tomorrow.
Yeah, well, not too many tomorrows left, so we have to be, it's now or never. We're at that line. This is a last-ditch effort that's being thrown at us because they realize what's happening. But I think we're going to prevail on this. And really, I think what's happening is that the children that are born in the late 90s and 2000s, in the next few years, they're going to become our leaders, and then they're going to have children, and then that's when really that mega change is going to happen. The starseeds having starseed children, right? So the entire perception and the entire reality will be, far different than what we understand today. Just like we wouldn't understand what was happening, like say 200 years ago, because the reality back then was completely different today than what ours is going to be in like 20, 25 years from now, when these kids become grandparents, and the wealth of information and wisdom and knowledge that they're going to be able to pass forward to their children is going to make a huge impact on this planet.
That's what this is all about, mate. You're right.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mary. Really appreciate you. Big fan of yours. Not a fanatic, but just a fan. Enjoy your work. Have always liked it, and have followed you for quite a while now. And I really appreciate you, giving me your time and coming on here on Watchers Talk and Full Spectrum Universe, Forgotten Origins, and New Realities, and Portal to Ascension. We're streaming everywhere. To give us this wealth of information, and thank you to Stephen and Evan for asking these really great questions, because I really wouldn't have asked those questions. I would have went somewhere else. But that's one of the reasons I asked Stephen and Evan, because I know Stephen's worked with children before. I know you worked with children, so I thought you guys would resonate since you guys already know one another, and the conversation would be really geared towards children and stuff, and that's exactly what happened. So thank you very much, Stephen. Really appreciate it, brother, and Evan, you too, brother. You're you guys are family, and I love you guys very much, and I appreciate you. And you guys are on tomorrow. And Mary, I will send you an email, and I'll send you the links to where we're streaming. If you want to watch this, in the studio here, you're more than welcome to. I'll send you the links. And that's it. I guess I will go on to our second leg of our Australia tour with George Mitrovic. This man is amazing. He's written like 50 books. So looking forward to hearing from him. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was so wild, man.
That was quite something, right? Like, holy geez,
yes.
Harry. Wow, every time I
so good.
Yeah, just very, very, very good. I get the same reaction every time I listen to her. Every time she's done, a presentation with Neil afterwards, I'm just left with an awe. It's like, how does she know all this?
yes, absolutely.
Lots and lots and lots of research. So, just pioneer when it comes to this type of work and in this field. So let's bring Clarence Mitchell on. Where is he? There he is. And I will remove Mary. Mary, you're welcome to stay in the studio to continue watching if you like. No problem. All right. George Mitrovic, one of my really, really good friends. I'm sorry, George, make you wait this long, but shit happens, and
I was totally pissed off, but no, it's great. I enjoyed listening.
Yeah, right on. I'm glad that you did. We were having a pretty good conversation back and forth through just bantering one another, and it was quite enjoyable. I like it. I love your sense of humor. Pardon me?
I sent you a picture on Messenger.
Oh, did you send me a picture? I didn't see it. Okay, I'll look at it afterwards.
I'd like it to come up.
Yes, this one right here. Let me bring that up.
Please bring that one up. No, it's reflecting.
Okay, I'll share my screen and I'll bring it up, George. George is a published.
I'm not going to talk about it much, but
George is a published author of like 50 books in almost everything: space, archaeology, cryptozoology, UFOs, aliens. I just don't want to even go there. It's just so much. This man is a walking encyclopedia. I've had George on Watchers Talk many, many times now. I truly appreciate his knowledge and his wisdom. He's based out of Australia. As you guys know, we're doing an Australia leg here right now, and then we'll be doing the same thing tomorrow. And it's just an honor and a privilege to really have you on here, George. I'm going to go and monitor all of the chats, and as the questions come up, I'm sure they will for you. I will post them in the chat room, and I'll let Clarence and Greg take over.
Awesome.
And I'm so happy to see that John Shaughnessy is still with us. What a trooper. Love that guy too.
Yes.
Gravity Force. Guys, check it out, pyramidgravityforce.com, and there's something about the moon.com.
Yes. George, I feel like you wrote another book this week, right? Didn't you publish another something?
Oh, that was last week.
Oh my God, last week? Do you have another one coming out this week too?
Yeah, last week or the week before was people kept asking me, why don't you write a book on Australian UFOs and mysteries and blah, 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 blah. And I said, basically because in the years I've been writing, and I probably have published more books than any other Australian author, the Australian media have never bothered to come near me. And yet people in the States and Vancouver and Minneapolis and Europe interview me quite regularly. They're
right,
like, well,
right.
stuff them. I'm not good with subtlety. I never have been. And I thought, okay, I'll write them a book, 695 pages, 1800 to 1999. Every hominoid, humanoid, UFO, humanoid, lake monsters, sea monsters, strange things in my typical Asperger's chronological order. Of course.
Right.
And it came out 2 weeks ago. It's volume 1 in a set of 20, I think, which I want to finish in the next couple of years. I'm working on England now, which is 1650 to 1999. Same thing. People want it. They love reading it. They don't want to stir their intellects. A person I know on Facebook said, "You're not an intellectual. You're an anti-intellectual." I said, "I am. I don't give you summations. I don't give you endings. I don't give you anything. But I give you a hell of a lot of questions while I give you data.
Yes.
It's up to you to work out what you're going to do with it. I can't do it for you. I'm not going to do it for you." And this whole multiverse, how can I find a single question or a single answer?
It's a good point. Though I bring up your theory of the moving portals. I talk to people about that all the time, and nobody knows about it. Nobody understands the research. I mean, I'm not sure where you were going to go today to talk about the map if you wanted to do that, but I still think it's one of the most mind-blowing things that I've heard about.
For those who may not know, this is 1800 to 1977. The complex bit here, there, is North America from 1800 to 1977 of UFO sightings, hairy hominoid sightings, falls of fish from the sky, you name it, everything that is anomalous. And you know the amazing thing about it?
What's that?
It all belongs to a geometric progression, which means it's repeatable, which means it's composed of sine waves. All of these phenomena, the visions, the animals, the strange visitations, even spontaneous combustion, UFO landings, all of it occur on these sine waves traveling through time. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Clarence, where's your time? Was I boring you already?
No, I don't know what Clarence is doing.
That's Clarence.
He's there in the background. He's always like that.
How he always does that. I was so worried about Clarence a few months ago. He disappeared. What else, Clarence?
No, I got some noise in the background going over the microphones. I'm just trying to fix something here, but I don't think it's going to work. But
sounds good right now.
What I'm going to talk about today is more prosaic.
Oh, great.
I'll leave things of your ethereal, the otherworldly, other multidimensionally star children, all the rest of it to others who can think and theorize and live with those realities in their own reality. Good luck to them. I tend to be a little more, you're all an ongoing part of an immense nuclear reaction that will end one day, and all we are continuing explosions of particles with the belief that it's all real and it's all individual, which certainly puts a few cats under the pigeons. While I was listening and everyone was discussing Uluru, I've never heard anyone discuss this rock formation on the side of Uluru. I saw it in 1972. I called it the brain. It's hundreds of feet high. This is where the rainbow serpent landed on Earth to bring knowledge to mankind. On this rock that is a 1.25 mile climb to the top in the middle of one of the flattest deserts on Earth. And this thing is on one side of it. Don't tell me that's a natural formation. Not with the significance. And yet I've never heard anyone ever discuss it. That's just a little thing. I thought they'd bring that up after everyone else was discussing Uluru. What I'm talking about is I want you to meet, in 3 stages, your earliest ancestor. Around 3,260,000,000 years ago, at a place called Barberton in South Africa in the Great Greenstone Belt, there is a meteor crater. No, it's actually a cometary crater, I've decided, not a meteor crater. It's 100 k's long by 60 k's wide. And one of the earliest meteor or cometary craters, they're very hard to tell the difference, ever found. Possibly the second oldest on Earth ever found. That's interesting because, as you both know, I write about comets and meteors. I love them. I'm fascinated by them. The interesting thing about this is, and now I'm going to introduce you to your ancestors, is the oldest bacterium on Earth were discovered in the Barberton meteor crater. Good old, what are they? Archaeospheroides barbertonii. What a lovely name. The oldest bacteria on Earth, anaerobic, of course, because there was no oxygen around then. And guess when they dated their arrival? 3,260,000,000 years ago. Amazing. The same time in geologic terms. And remember, geology has 100 million year error factors, which is quite interesting at times until you start averaging them out and scanning them in. Life arrived on Earth at Barberton with a cosmic impactoid. Why do I believe it was a comet? Simple reason. There's no rock traces there of a meteor or meteorite. Comets don't leave rock traces. Most people don't even realize that a comet is a large mass of mud and dirt and ice floating through the multiverse, seeding the multiverse. You know what the beautiful thing about that comet is, being a big frozen mud ball? It protects anything on it from cosmic radiation and star radiation. It maintains a stable temperature of 80 to 100 degrees Celsius in most cases, which is cruise liner through the universe for a bacteria or any other germ or virus. And comets don't leave traces. They leave strange elliptical craters, usually with a low lip on one side and a high lip on the other end. And you're thinking, why is this old fool talking about these things? Why are we talking about comets when we were talking about so many wonderful things before? Because that's our ancestor. Whoever had an alien intervention later, or a godly intervention later, or please insert 500 different forms of intervention later, or, oh, people are going to hate this, it became the interventor. We always forget the interventor being us. We could also be the controllers of our own biology and destiny and thought processes, not just everybody else. So that was meet your grandparents. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. 3,260 billion years ago. I discovered that coincidence. I published it. Within 24 hours of publishing a 700-page book on it and a history of cometary and meteoric impacts on Earth to the present day, I had a 1.5-page diatribe posted on Facebook saying, don't read this, don't go near it, it's non-scientific, it hasn't been peer-reviewed. And my response to that was, good. I bit in his ass. Excellent. Somebody really doesn't like it. That to me is a token of esteem. Yep, and that's that part done. Part 2 is another book I wrote a few months ago called Shishulub Was Not Alone. Now, do we know who Shishulub was or is? It's not an Italian recipe. It's the Shishulub meteor crater that is apparently responsible for the death of the dinosaurs. Alvarez brought forward the concept in the 1970s that a comet or a meteor was responsible for the dinosaur extinctions. I bring up the concept. There wasn't one. It was a whole swarm of them. And I'm going to read a quick list. At the same time as Shishulub, which left a crater 300 k's across. We also had another crater at Quintana Roo in Mexico, 60 k's across. And then this list appeared, all on this wonderful arc across and around the world. Parry Crater, 180 k's. The Cuba Crater in the Bahamas, 650 k's across. The Amarante Trench in the Indian Ocean. The Shiva Crater in the Indian Ocean. Oh, Amarante, 300 k's. Shiva Crater, 600 by 400 k's. The Taklamakan Desert Crater, 300 k's. The Deccan Traps, hundreds of thousands of k's, believed to be triggered by the Shiva comet impact. Lake Victoria in Africa, 250 by 337 k's, and Mount Kilimanjaro, 800 k's, with Mount Kilimanjaro being created by the impact. And the interesting thing is, I know the maps aren't that good when I post them. If you can see that, that's Kilimanjaro, Taklamakan, and the Shiva Crater. They're on one part of the Earth. This, the big one is the Cuba Crater. The smallest one is Chicxulub. And if you look here, I know, I'm not good with these things. Down here is a Cuba Crater. Oh, it's very hard doing this in reverse.
That looks good, George, right there.
What one?
The top image.
The top image is North America. The one at the top is, where are we? The Parry Crater in Alaska. It's 180 across. Next to it is this, the Savanowski Crater, 510 k's. If you look, there's a line running down from the top. Sorry, we're reversing here because of lenses, down to there, the Cuba Crater, which Chicxulub is next to. Other maps, like the one below, show a stream of craters heading from southeast to northwest. If I was better at computers, like the last speaker, I would have had a lovely dramatization for you, but it shows that there was more than one impact event that wiped out the dinosaurs. Any questions?
Are you saying all at the same time, George, or did that all happen?
65 million BC. What I did with the data, Clarence, as you know, you've studied geology. There are always 100 million, 200 million, 300 million year, 400 million year error factors. I wish I could have error factors like that. I averaged them, and they started hitting the same ages, the same periods. And they started producing things that are latitudinal streams. Oddly enough, cosmologists are now discussing latitudinal streams that I published years ago. Because before they said, no, it doesn't happen. You don't have a meteor stream. You don't have impact events that have ongoing effects. If you look at, it's so hard. There's a better one of Cuba. The size of it. A little Chicxulub in the bottom one where the little yellow star is. The big one comes from the east. The next part shatter. They're all shatterings. The same here, the Kilimanjaro once again. The big one, then it shatters. And when you put these all together, which I would like to, but I didn't, you have teardrops. But I don't have a picture of a teardrop there. Where you have a large one from the last cataclysm, 12,000 years ago. This is where we're leading up to, with the extinction of the mammoths, the end of the ice ages, where you have a big teardrop. Hang on, I'll grab one for you. It's good having my own library behind me and all my own books. Oh, hello, Emma. I just want to grab a quick picture here. Sorry, I'm not as interesting as the last speaker.
This looks familiar, George.
Yes, you got it? Have you read it?
I'm about 40 pages in.
Oh, it's that bad, is it? Oh, dear. I just want to find this. Here we are. And I know it's going to get in the road. You see, this is North America, 12,000 years ago. Once again, to the east, we have a massive impact. And that thing is 2,250 k's across. That's the Bermuda impact structure, first found, discovered by Kelly and DeShiel. The island of Bermuda is the central uplift. And if you look heading towards Alaska, you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller impact events represented by the blue circles. That's a teardrop. Do you see the teardrop? The big one comes from the east, shatters, and then the bits that are shattered from it continue, heading up to Alaska again. They're like going from southeast to northwest. They're not supposed to exist. And that was just by plotting meteor craters and cometary craters. Now, what do you want to ask me about?
Let me ask you, George, the Younger Dryas impact that we just recently discovered in Greenland, does that have the same behavior as
it's the same period?
Pardon me?
It's the same period.
So
I read about the Younger Dryas impact 20 years ago.
So I'm talking about the impact, the crater impact that they found in Greenland. Did that one shatter as well? Is there evidence like somewhere else in the world that when it came in, it shattered, hit somewhere, and then eventually...
And did a really big one shatter? I mean, that one that hit the Bermuda, it left a 2,200K crater.
So we're talking about the same event?
Continuing. The same event. It was only one impact amongst lots. In my maps, I only use craters over 1K in size.
So it's plausible
to say... thousands of more of less.
So it's plausible to say that when this impact happened, 12, 14,000 years ago, that it wiped out the super civilization that existed on this planet before us.
It would have wiped out most of it, because you've got to remember, I suppose I shouldn't say remember, because a lot of people don't know these things. One of the big geologic mysteries over the years was 12,000 years ago, or 10 to 12,000 years, there was a sudden rise in world sea levels by 300 to 400 feet, like that. Where are our major cities? On coasts. Where are the old major cities? 300 to 400 feet down.
Yeah, like Dawarka, Yamaguni.
Well, they're only 5,000 years ago. This is 10 to 12,000 years ago.
Okay.
Dawarka and that went down when there was a meteoric impact about 3,200 BC.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Also in my book on the Great Cataclysms.
I was under the impression that went down around like 10,000 years ago when...
the Mahabharata states it was only 3,200 BC.
Okay.
Their chronologies are good, the Indians. They're perfect chronologies.
Yeah.
They know exactly about it. They're already mathematical, architectural, learned people, as long as we don't decry the sciences of mathematics and architecture, as some people do these days. It's a way of recording things. And they recorded 3,200, which is the same time as the Persian Gulf being more full and flooding. It was a minor, major world flood event with a few earth tilts here and there. Adam's Bridge collapsed between Sri Lanka and India all around the same time. It's interesting. If you go and look at Google Earth, you'll see Adam's Bridge. It's still there. Where Rama chased Ravana to rescue, I've forgotten the name, Lakshmi. And trains used to run halfway on it till a hurricane wiped them out in the 1970s. Most people don't realise this. I'm talking about the older civilizations, which I mentioned in my book, Ancient Archaeology, amongst others, that were before 10 to 12,000 BC. In this period of 10 to 12,000 BC, imagine this is the Earth. Well, we all know what it's apparently shaped like. Unless you're a flat earther, then you'll see a big turtle underneath it holding a flat thing every time we have a lunar eclipse. You've got a sphere. It's happily turning, rotating, moving, bang. Something hits it on its east side. And this has happened 271 times in the apparent history of the Earth. And the result is movement. Yeah, that's Adam's Bridge. It was above sea level around 3000 BC. The Earth tilts have occurred 271 times since the beginning of recorded geology. They work it out by looking at fossil magnetism in rocks and which way it faces. The last tilt was 10 to 12,000 years ago when the Earth tilted 26.5 degrees, which is a bloody big tilt.
So would that suggest, so if it tilted that much, would that suggest that the Earth was in an upright tilt at one time?
Could you get an aerial view of Hudson Bay at all?
I sure can.
I was going to say that's where the oceans and that all moved across because of places like Salt Lake City, Utah, and things like that, and the Salt Flats that moved the oceans completely on the other side.
What happened was the Earth tilts. We've got massive tidal waves occurring and meltings, but at the same time, and this is why I want Hudson Bay to appear, the North American ice mass erupted. I'm not saying it melted gradually over 1,000 years and it was a lovely little stream of rivulets and rills and things. It was a massive, great, bloody explosion, fragments of which hit a circular area with a diameter of the Carolinas to Hudson Bay. Imagine a circle like that going across the North American continent. There are bays which are elliptical formations spread in this great circle at the center of which was Hudson Bay. They have low northern edges. They have high southern edges, and as I said, they're elliptical. They are ice fragment impacts which resemble cometary impacts. Because what happened was one of the meteoric or cometary fragments went straight through 2 miles of ice cap and shattered it like that during the tilt. That's why all the remains of mammoths, mastodons, everybody else who lived in that period that we find now in the tundra are drowned in mud. The trees are destroyed, and they lived amongst trees. Mammoths did not live in the tundra. They aren't big, hairy, ice-eating elephants. Their remains have been found in their bodies of beech leaves, oak leaves. They ate off trees. They had prehensile lips, the same as the Indian elephant. They can't live on 500 ton of snow a day. Nothing can. Because Siberia is temperate. The 27.5 degree ice shift shot it north. And then as the ice masses erupted and crashed everywhere, they caused the massive 300 to 400 foot sea level changes. And now it sounds fantastic, but it is what happened. Because if you look here, check out the circle.
It looks like it slid in like this.
Yes.
Slid in like that, and then just.
Yeah, no, look at the edge there. It's circular. That is a crater. Those bits are the central uplift. What is a central uplift? I'm sure all of us on this planet that have had a television over the last 50 years, there we are, have seen a milk ad where there's a big splash of milk coming up from it. And you see it. It rises up in the air and it looks great. That's what a central uplift is. Except in the case of a central uplift, it's magma that's coming up and solidifying. That's why Mount Kilimanjaro is an uplift, a meteoric uplift. That's why a lot of these sites have meteoric uplifts in the centre. It's one way of identifying them. I was in New Zealand a few years ago looking at Lake Taupo, and huge lakes surrounded by volcanoes. Beautiful. Dead centre in the middle is an island, which immediately I saw it. I said, that's a central uplift. That's a meteoric uplift. This lake is a crater lake. And the same with Rotorua. Once again, big round lake, central uplift. It was literally hell on earth in that period. It wiped out a lot of civilizations. It wiped out almost everything. But humans are tough. We survived. But like shipwrecked sailors, we didn't take much with us. But we took our memories of where our culture had been, where our civilization had been, where our memories had been. Memories of a lost island in the Atlantic, which we like to call Atlantis, but which erupted with the equivalent of 15,000 H-bombs at once at the same time, right on the central ridge that opens up in the middle of the Atlantic. We're talking an Earth that is so traumatized. And as you said, Clarence, the massive flooding that occurred, the Olympic River, the Cascade River, was 400 feet deep, charging into the Western Sea as all the major pre-glacial lakes started erupting as well in that period. And I'm trying to remember their names. The problem with writing so many books is a lot of it I'm starting to forget. And I'm not going to say it's my age. Oh, that's a beauty. The Hudson Bay. Tell me if that isn't a crater ring. No, it's pretty obvious. And in here, yes, I know. Was it you, Clarence, that said to me, I can't remember, but whenever I want to ask a question on a subject, George usually pulls a book from the bookcase and he's written about it.
This is true.
So true.
Got them all place marked and everything.
700 pages of meteor and crater and cometary impacts. It's not a small book. Easy to read, though. All of it in chronological order, of course. It's me writing it. It's got to be in chronological order. It has to be organized. Yeah, I don't make a very good star child, but I do make a great bloody amasser of information. And I don't write for intellectuals. I write for people who just want to know things. Here we are. Oh, why didn't we do this one before? This is good. This is the Great Cataclysm. Look at it from that angle. The end of the last ice age. The various craters. Hudson Bay up there. No, Hudson Bay there because his book's actually tilted. Yeah, it's backwards. Yeah, it's actually upside down. Because sometimes you've got to turn the Earth around to see happening. Is this going to happen again? We don't know. Oh, I've scared Clarence again. He's gone.
Here's an interesting image that you might find interesting, George. It's talking about the seabed where the Hudson's Bay impact is.
Yes.
As you can see right here, these circular rings, it says here, the southern part of the central Hudson Bay site, too, characterized by a large number of ring-like features, which are more than 200 meters in diameter and up to 10 meters high, deep, and surrounded by dipping of debris aprons. And this is the uplift you were talking about.
Yes, yes.
Right? And they all seem to have it.
Yes, because you don't just get one, you get groups of them. It's rare to find one major impact. If you could find, put in Carolina Bays, Carolina-Bays. They are interesting.
Carolina Bays?
Carolina Bays, and look for images. Check them out. Aren't they beautiful? And you could have sworn it was the moon. All of these elliptical craters all face southwest. That's where the long edge is. Check them out on that one.
Wow.
On the sort of lidarish look at them. This is the surface of our planet, and these are the impact events that occurred then. I started writing about this stuff 20 years ago, maybe longer. 40 years ago. Yes, darling. Margaret just told me 40. And these are all radiating out in a circle from Hudson Bay. Try and explain those things away. No one can explain those things away. We have to get a bigger picture of our planet as it tilted, as it had been hit, as the first impactoid hit it and then started breaking up. Big teardrops, big latitudinal clusters. I've got, amongst the other books, these are amongst my favourite books, these ones.
You can see the elongation. You can see the elongation in them. The teardrop, right? You can clearly see them. Almost every single one has them.
And they're intersecting. Normal lakes don't intersect.
Look at this one, tear-shaped, right here.
Aren't they beautiful?
This is a beautiful lake. Almost looks like a heart.
And you got lots of them. They got them in Virginia, Carolina, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, you name it. And then you got them in Wisconsin as well, Wyoming, and other places, but I haven't recognised them yet. I found a crater field in Australia the same. You start looking at maps and you start looking at them differently, and you realise these are impact streams. In this period, there are impact streams in Brazil, in Bolivia, all over the world. As we must have been going through a swarm of impactoids. A swarm of them. No wonder people were thinking of revelations and fire from the sky and the gods wanting to destroy us.
Kind of like
to add insult to injury.
Are you talking about something like the Perseus meteor shower that I think we get in like August or something like that? We get these two yearly meteor showers, and we actually go through some sort of a meteor.
We go through them
or something like that.
We get them almost every month.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
November, October, Oreonids, Perseids. The big ones are in November, but I can't remember their name. November 6th, usually to about November 20th. Great time for UFO sightings.
I wonder if that's what we're seeing there in the Carolina Bays, because it looks like just a bunch of them came in and just pounded the earth. And I wonder if the Earth's magnetic field may have changed, may have become stronger and just pulled these things in. Kind of like what they say with the zone of silence in Mexico, which is kind of like the what's that called in the Caribbean, the triangle.
Oh, the
Bermuda,
Bermuda Triangle. The theory is that a lot of asteroids have been found in Mexico around this zone of silence, and what they're theorizing is that the Earth is somehow pulling these in through its magnetic field, and and oddly enough, the Bermuda Triangle and the Zone of Silence and the Devil's Triangle in Japan are all on the same parallel line.
Well, Bermuda Triangle is this big impact event here.
Yeah.
Because what happens with something most people wouldn't know unless they're into minerals and geology is that gold is not native to Earth. All the gold on Earth has arrived in impact events. A lot of the iron on Earth has arrived in impact events. The diamonds on Earth are results of impact events. The metals themselves that come in these comets and meteorites and asteroids that are hitting the Earth will be disturbing the magnetic pull and magnetic field of the area like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
Which could cause a lot of problems. It could also cause multidimensional warps to open up, which is my other favourite theory, which we discussed earlier. Because everything, as far as I'm concerned, is an electromagnetic field. We believe it isn't, but it is. Because all atoms are is electromagnetism in constant vibration at different rates and lengths. And then once again, we head back to here. These giant sine waves that go over hundreds of years. Okay, I discovered them. I had a physicist do a 6-month determination on them in 1991. And he worked out they're repetitive. So much for people seeing.
And you have a UFO map like that as well, right, George? Or is that the one that we're looking at?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
UFOs.
UFOs. Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I had him do the test on it as an independent scientist, with a simple question being, if it is real, they will all be random. And that just means people are hallucinating, seeing things, or schizoid. They are not random. They're repetitive. They're mathematical. They show where openings occur and close on the face of our planet. They show where strange events occur, and we've discussed that in some of the interviews before, with people at these intersections of these sine waves, suddenly seeing Bigfoot or a monster or Orthon from Venus or somebody else from Orion coming or going. And we discussed the fact that maybe the viewer is creating the observation in a real form. And then we went into subjects like the quasar vacuum. And that one usually blows people out of the water. A, because they have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'll bring it up quickly now. There are 5 states of matter. Well, we believe there are 5 states of matter. They're solid. We're pretty sure about it. But remember, it's just composed of a lot of more tightly bound electromagnetic waves resonating away. They get a bit looser. We have liquids. Just think of it as ice turning into water. Then we get gas. My God, that ice is now turning into steam. Amazing. And then we get plasma. Plasma is the center of a nuclear explosion. It is where the electromagnetic bond of the subnuclear particles is separating. Then we have the quasar vacuum. Hello. The quasar vacuum is where they've completely separated. They're moving so fast, usually generating a lot of heat.
The old quasar vacuum. That's where you lose me, George.
The quasar vacuum is where we find Schrödinger's cat.
Right.
Which everyone has always read about but can never find. Because the cat is in the box and out of the box at the same time. Because the quasar vacuum is where dimensions mesh. It's the gateway to the multiverse. And I had a very good friend years ago He was experimenting with cold plasma explosions. They didn't release as much heat as a nuclear explosion, but they had the same results. Brilliant scientist. And we and I both agreed with my theory of the quasar vacuum, but I kept writing other books all the time. And one day I'll get back to that one, but it's going to be a mammoth event. So that's just another path we could go down. But I know the quasar vacuum tends to throw people.
What would happen if, you talk about this idea of the intention or the culture of the people near these electromagnetic portals influencing the phenomena? I know you've talked about that before, right? Like Bigfoot, UFOs.
See Bigfoot. Religious people said a Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
A tree. Why the tree? I've got no bloody idea. But so many records of them in trees.
Do you think we could see? Well, my question is now that we know about all these cataclysms, or at least what we think we know about them, could we as a people accidentally manifest another one that would take all of us out near one of these portals?
Because the portals never created them in the first place.
The
portals are just the electromagnetic hum around our planet.
Right.
Meeting other electromagnetic hums from the multiverse. And where the resonance fields increase, you get the opening. That's why it's a sine wave.
Yeah.
The cataclysms, they just occur at random, unless you believe the entire universe is one piece of clockwork. And I'll bring this one up. I was discussing it with Omar. It's a concept I've been thinking of for a little while. And I was discussing it with Omar before I came on.
Well, what's your theory?
Oh, you're getting it. I haven't published it. I might write about it. People say I should be writing my theories rather than these books and things I write. And that is, we are in an apparently expanding universe where everything is moving out, ad infinitum, ad nauseum. The beginning is apparently total solid. The beginning of everything is total mass. Somehow, somewhere, when, a quark or a neutron or a subatomic particle we might not have discovered yet moved. Why? We've got no idea, but there has to be an origin for movement in the multiverse. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having any movement now. That first movement became the first part of time, because time can only be used to describe movement.
Right.
So it moved, affected something else that moved, which affected something else that moved. At the same time, something else moved. It's all geometric. It's like starting at the bottom of a pyramid upside down, and everything that intersects is growing. Now, the theoretical question to this is, if our present universe is the continuation of that first movement, not two movements, not 10, not 20, there can only be one, does it mean that everything that's occurring is still the same reaction, chemically, metallurgically, whatever, the combined reaction, which means nothing is random, because they're all the results that could have only occurred in the one direction from the original movement. Maybe the Muslims have got it right. Everything is preordained. There's nothing you can do about it. It just continues. What a wonderful ride to travel on.
In a sense, everything is preordained. I am of the school of thought that when I incarnate onto this planet, I have pre-chosen the people that I'll be born to, the way I'm going to look, and the experiences which I'll have in this human experience. And then I incarnate, and then I do my human experience and I leave. And the major events in life are predestined or pre-written, and everything in between is you're just flowing, right? So there is a little bit of free will, but not fully. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but chemically you can't change the results of a chemical reaction unless you add something extra to it. The thing is, if it's only the original chemical reaction, there's nothing extra to add. I know, we're getting pretty highbrow here.
Yeah, my camera isn't on and you saw me.
It's with your transmigration of souls, it answers it beautifully because, yes, we have a physical universe that is one big reaction, creating everything in existence. From the lowest amoeba to the Nepalese mountains to the stars to the cosmos. But, as you stated, maybe we come in and out for day trips. And like when you go to a picture theatre, you don't stand at the door, give them the $10 and leave. You might as well go in and watch the movie. That's what it's there for, and enjoy the movie. In Omar's example, it's to learn something, to live through it. How other religions would look at it, I'm not sure. What's your interpretation, Greg?
No, I mean, this is, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out too, because even though maybe this is sort of, maybe what Omar's speaking to, this question of, you're saying, I guess it's a question, this gets very deep, but where does meaning come from then? Sure, the movement can affect another movement and another movement, but why does that necessarily mean that everything is, I guess, what's the point? If everything's not free will, if it's going to happen anyways, then, there's still a meaning piece. There's still a reason we got to hear now.
There's no point. It's to accept everything. To accept what you believe to be the reality, which they affirm is an illusion. Because any reality is translated by our thoughts and our cultural loading.
And observation.
Right.
And observations. Observations are what we believe to be things that are observed. As I say, when you're looking at witnesses in a murder trial, 9 witnesses will have 9 different stories, 9 different observations. Because their observations are different. Remember last time we were discussing the Ariel School in Zimbabwe in I can't remember, ARIEL, Omar. And we were discussing what I liked about the aerial UFO landing sighting, brief observation, UFO comes down to schoolyard.
Oh, yes.
We have a few people hop out, look around, take happy snaps, all the usual things. Day trip from Venus, who knows? The children, years later, an observer came to record what they saw. Not what they said, what they saw. And the children did it in a way that children can. They drew it. They're all different.
Yeah, remember that, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that clearly. That was a clear breakthrough. That's when we theorized that UFO encounters and ET encounters are based on your consciousness. And they present themselves to you depending on your vibrational distortion. And they appear to be different to each individual, even the craft in itself.
1 window or 2 window or 3 windows.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. There was also a Cambridge sighting that did the same. And it's just pure, innocent observers. And children are pretty good recorders of things. Their drawing might be crappy, but they usually remember the colours. They usually remember the rough shapes. Ask them to draw a house, it's always the same house. When they're little, but we know it's a house.
Yeah.
And as usual, one of my interviews has morphed again.
What about
we start off discovering our bacterial grandparents and how do they fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We're also descended from them. We didn't come afterwards. Some people say we did. I believed for years we did. I was telling people for years we'd come from the Pleiades. I'm not so sure now. I've met other people who say they've come from Orion. Who came and when? Are we talking about illusions again? Or observations again? When do we look at reality? What is reality? What isn't reality? Is it all non-reality? As I say, I don't give people answers. I give them questions. Oh, there we are. Ariel.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, aren't they beautiful? And that's the Welsh one. That's not Ariel. Oh, that's Ariel.
No, that's Ariel.
Yeah, that's Ariel.
This is a UFO that landed behind the trees and somebody came through.
Yeah, that's Ariel.
Yeah.
Look at it. They're all different. The trees all look like magic mushrooms.
Wasn't there two incidents that happened pretty much the same thing in two different schoolyards, 2 different years?
There was one in, I think, in Wales and one at near Cambridge. Later, I can't remember the years, which is very remiss of me seeing I'm writing the largest books on them in existence. But yes, what I like are these observations that people have, and not wordage. I want to see
There's a perfect example right there, George. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Please do.
And you look at these images that these kids are holding, because these were the kids that were in the schoolyard, and every single one is different.
Yeah, they're the ones from Wales. Yeah. Each one is different. And yet children all have the same eyes, apparently. How much of our universe is created by our cultural loading, our observations, our biases, our likes, our hates, our preconceived isms? How much of that influences what actually is or is believed to is, if we can use a grammatically loose statement like that?
My answer is everything. I mean, that is the basis of reality. Yeah, I don't even. I mean, even right now, everybody watching this, there's no way everybody is. People are culturally loading their experience of this stream in real time.
And cultural loading is constantly mutating.
Right. Yeah, at one point people thought this was an interview about one thing, and then became completely different.
Everybody's perception is going to be totally different, though.
That's right. That's right. So, George, don't worry. This interview has been consistent the whole time to somebody out there.
Somebody was one of my interviews.
Here's a question from Rick Keefe.
Mm-hmm.
What is the relationship between time and consciousness? I really like that question.
Wow, what a heavy-hitting question.
Yeah, I like that question. I'm very heavy-hitting, and so we have a heavy hitter on the screen. So let's see if George can hit a home run with this one.
When we're asleep, do we have a consciousness of time, or is that purely predicated by whatever time recording mechanism we approach before sleep and after sleep? Time is an abstract concept. There are some cultures on Earth that don't have a concept of time. I regard time as a mathematical constant that shows the passage, as I said before, the passage of a chemical reaction or the first quark or neutron moving, because you had to give a passage of time to an event. But if you don't believe in the concept of events, time is an organization. It's still basically created. Children don't know the concept of time.
I've got an issue with time myself. I feel that we've approached time in the same manner as we have everything else, by centering humans as a center point, meaning that back in the day, they thought that the Earth was the center of the universe, and the Earth or the universe revolved around the Earth. And then, it was the sun that evolved around the Earth, and that changed. And then, now we know better. Now, the reason why I say that is because when we measure time, it's always an astrometric unit from the Earth to the sun, and that is it. And that's the concept of time. Now, I always say that if you're born on Pluto and you're from Pluto, and it takes Pluto 72 Earth years to make one orbit, how old will you be? Will you be 1 year old, or will you be 72 years old? Right? And if we go out even further, the rotation of the planets going around the stars is still, measured based on Earth. So we really fundamentally don't understand what time really is. We're more like in kindergarten when it comes to understanding time, because once we leave the Earth, once we leave the solar system, we don't have a way of measuring time.
No, we have to have an artificial way of measuring it.
That's right. Because
the origin of time, as such, is based on agriculture, which may sound weird, but as we know, Stonehenge was a gigantic clock.
Mm-hmm.
Sun comes through one angle, through the trilithon, time to go plant the seeds. Sun's coming through the direction of Venus now, time to go harvest the seeds. Winter's starting now when the shadows move here. Time was basically a mathematical construct to record the passage of when humans would do things. But it was organized by the priestly caste, who gained the power of having it and interpreting it. The first religions were based on having control over ways of measuring time and the seasons. And I just came up with that one then. It's as valid as anyone else's idea.
You're a brilliant man. I'm glad
so
you
controls the seasons and controls crops and controls everything. If you don't know when to plant them, right? Nobody's going to grow them.
I'm glad that you mentioned Stonehenge, because our next guest coming up is going to be talking about Stonehenge in your neck of the woods in Australia. Now, there's a lot of people that say that it doesn't exist, it's not real, whatever the case may be. But Richard has put together a pretty convincing case to show that there was a Stonehenge in Australia, which is older than the one in England.
I've got photos of one near Woomera in South Australia in my book, Amazing Archaeology, which is an enormous thing, but not particularly dear. And it only deals with strange archaeological relics from around the world.
Yeah, let me bring Richard Patterson on. I think you guys will resonate very good, because
I'm joining in. So I'll be going, Bubby.
Hello. I don't think we've met.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I don't think we've met. I'm good. I was all grey before. My spirit
books on everything.
my screen was grey before, and I thought, oh, everyone's so good looking, and I'm all this grey screen. And when I came live, suddenly all the colour came back to my face. Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm just waking up.
Thank you very much for giving us your time on a Saturday morning. Really appreciate it, Richard. You have a wealth of knowledge that I appreciate. We had a wonderful talk a couple of months ago, and it was so good that when Rob and I were putting together this disclosure, you were one of the names that came up because of Stonehenge, and because of the controversy that goes with that. I thought it would be perfect opportunity to bring forth this information and knowledge to the world, to let them know that the Stonehenge in England is not the only one, that in fact there's an older one, and probably the original one, that people are just simply not aware of. 99.9% of the population is just not aware of it. So, just because of disclosure, I think this is a perfect thing to disclose. And, I thought I'd bring you on screen with my good buddy George, because George has written like 70 books on archaeology and space and comets and, creepy crawlies and whatever have you. So I thought, it would be a good thing for you guys to meet. And maybe while you're talking, George might have some thoughts on that as well.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you very, very much to put me in the presence of you, George. Thank you very much.
Me?
Well,
I'm just an old fart.
No, it's very good. Thank you, Emma. No, I appreciate it. And if you get anything you can say, I'm here to learn as much as to say what I've got to say. But I mumble, I speak quickly, so slow me down if I do. And can I control images? Can I throw pictures up?
Yeah, if you want. Go ahead, share your screen.
Okay. So do this share. Where's that?
That's on the bottom, right? Just at the very bottom of the screen.
Share. Yeah, I said. Okay. Well, I won't do it just yet, but it's good to know I can, because I've got a lot of images and some film and photos. Because
if you want to share the screen right now, when you're ready to show the images, I can bring it on to the.
Do you mind if I give it a go? I'll give it a go now.
Yeah. No, I'd like to see your images.
Okay. Thank you.
I thought you would, George.
Thank you.
And for those who are wondering where I was for a second, my cat was attacking my leg because it wanted its door open to outside.
Is that Couscous?
Yeah, Couscous. I tried to grab it to show everyone, but she's gone outside.
So can you see my screen?
I do. I believe you're sharing the entire screen. You need to go to the middle into the window, right? You have three options. It says entire screen.
Yeah, but I think now I've got to just stop sharing and hide. I think I have to start again, so I'll try again.
Just stop sharing.
Yep.
And then when you go into the share screen, you'll see three options up top. It says entire screen, window, and Chrome tab. And I believe it will be under window, if you have it open in the background.
Okay, because I've got share video file and share screen when I go to the share tab.
Yeah, so click the share screen, right, instead of the video.
Okay, so now I do.
Yeah, and then go to window.
Yep, share screen works best. Go to the window. I just get square. I just says square screen sharing tips. So I'll go share screen. I don't go to a window after that. It just pops up. It just gives me another. Okay, window. Yes, I gotcha. Okay, then share that. Is that right?
Yeah, so you go to window and your images should be there.
Okay, so
no, it looks like you shared the entire screen again. So maybe stop sharing on that.
I've got to open up that window. I get you. Okay, it's all good. Don't mind me. I'm sorry, I'm a brother. While I work this out, I'll quickly say about the Stonehenge here. The thing is, with Stonehenge, we think of obviously those cross plinths. It's that sort of U shape, the horseshoe shape. There was a stone arrangement we believe that had that. Wasn't as large as the one I want to talk about. And that other stone arrangement was that typical Stonehenge. People described it from 1992 as having that before it was demolished. But the one I talk about, it's a stone arrangement. And there are many stone arrangements. So why is this one called Stonehenge when it looks like stone arrangements, like we have circle arrangements all around the world? That's something I'll clear up, I think, at the beginning. Why does it have this name?
At the time.
Well, Perfect Dancing was a good name at the time. It was named in 1938. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got it. But the thing is,
library. George talked about it.
Okay, so I'm going to now.
About that one.
Okay,
so
I'm
sharing now, and you can see the images. Okay, here we go. Know what to do now.
We'll do a test run here.
But my window doesn't come up. I get. Oh, that's funny. I only get one window to choose from.
Do you have your images open in the background?
I have it in my foreground. Yeah, now I do, but then I can't see you.
Open up the your images.
Yeah.
Right. Go into your gallery, open it up, and then once it's open, and when you go to share screen, you go to window, and then window will see it, and you'll be able to share it from there.
Okay, because I was trying to share it through PowerPoint, and Sim wanted me to do that. Okay, I'll do it that way.
Just thought I'd quickly show you this one.
Yeah.
You probably know it. It's near Woomera in South Australia.
Lift it up a little bit, George.
Sorry, I'll go back to you guys.
There we go.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's that's interesting. See how it's very angular? See how you've got this angular thing? That's something I want to show you photos of when I finally work out.
Good. And this was from the 1930s, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was very big. Woomera. Now is that the one that blew up that they atomized?
No, it's still
there. You know they did the Woomera testing?
Yeah, near it, but not there. It's actually closer to Kingunya, but you can't go because it's all Woomera area. It's all totally locked up by the government.
Still the same thing, Richard. You're sharing the entire screen.
Yeah, but I just can't share my preview. I know I want to share a window, but I don't get an option to share a window. I'll keep on. Sorry.
Yeah, just stop sharing this screen that you have now.
Yeah, I'll stop it now. Okay, sorry. Stop.
And if you have your images open in the background, I'm pretty sure it'll pick it up.
Okay, because I've got my preview window. I'm using a Mac. I've got my preview window open in the background. So I go back to you guys, and then I go share, and then I go share screen. And then when it says window, I only get one window, which is the StreamYard window. My other windows don't pop up.
No, up top. You see where it says choose what to share, and then it says StreamYard.com wants to share the content of your screen.
Yeah,
and then
I see that.
Entire screen to the right, there's window. And
then
when
I click on
the right,
and then
right. So if you click the window,
then I just see me in that window right now, and you. So I've only got one window to choose. And it says StreamYard, even though my window's open.
No. You notice that when the entire screen, it looks blue, it's highlighted blue?
No, it's... Oh, yeah. Okay, there's a blue outline.
Yeah, and then when you just go to the right of it and just click that the text window.
Go to the right of it, click the text window.
Here, here, Richard, I'll shoot you a
screenshot because I can show you my screenshot and you can see what I'm dealing with. I'll do that quickly.
These images on the screen.
This is my screenshot. I can't share a picture with you guys on this.
I just sent you an image in Messenger, Richard.
Oh, okay, let me have a look.
Yeah, just have a look at that. Then you'll notice that I got the window highlighted.
Okay, just one sec. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, but I don't get that. When I click on window, I don't get that. You got DDD Notepad. That doesn't pop up. I only get one. I only get your StreamYard, mate. And even though I've got my tab open, I've got right in the background, I've got my preview tab open, which should be its own window.
Chrome or Firefox?
Yeah, I have to make it full screen. Yeah, I'm using Chrome.
Okay, I don't see why that would be an
issue. Maybe I made it a full screen. It might change things. So I'll try it as a full screen. Maybe it only accepts that. So let me try that. If not, I'll just talk. It's a pity, though. I had so much to show.
It'd be good to see what you've got.
Yeah, because it's all photos and stuff. Like, that's what people want to see, you know, the actual maps and the actual original photos.
I had one photo in mind.
Okay. I'll just try share now.
I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I still don't get the window.
Do you want to throw the brain on?
That's strange.
Yeah, it's strange because even though I made it full screen,
Do you just want to email me the images and then I can put them up?
Yeah, it's there's 69 images and they're high res. Yeah, okay, and then you can put up and you can flick. Maybe then you can have control of it. That might be best for everyone. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Is that cool? Do you mind? I'll quickly throw that to you.
Sure.
I have to make it a zip file. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay, give me just a minute to do that.
Sure. George, show us the image that you were talking about.
Well, a brain. I wasn't sure if Richard knew it.
A brain. Sorry, if I flick back to you though, I can't. I'll have to. I won't be able to see you though for a moment, George, because I've got to flick the screens and do that. Get the file up. Sorry, guys. But we can chat. I just can't see anything. So if there's any questions I can verbally answer, I'm ready to do it right now.
Where exactly is the henge you're talking about?
Greg, you want to jump in here for a minute while we try to figure this out?
Okay, it's in northern New South Wales.
Just out of Lismore, isn't it?
Just out of, well, sort of, not too far from Lismore, about an hour away from Lismore. Oh.
I thought I saw an article on that in 1971 or 2. There was a paranormal newspaper in Australia at the time.
Yeah.
That actually had photos of it.
Interesting.
But
No,
I haven't seen that paper for a long time.
For some reason, I've got to sign into all my accounts. I don't know why. Let me get through that.
It's okay. It's been a long but a fun day.
Good. Let's keep it up. All right, here we go. I finally got into my Gmail. Okay, I'm going to send you my files with it. Okay. Okay. Okay, peace. And how do I send you all those photos? Let's hope it WinZips the folder. And it's saying something. It's saying error, unable to load. Folders of package. Please attach a zip file. How do I? Can't you just right click and zip? I know it's awful things I'm talking about here. Can't. I'll just have to send you all the pictures. I don't know how to. I can't.
Sure. So while you're doing that,
oh no, it's got control. It's all good. Yep.
I'll pay the bills here really quick.
Yeah. Okay, it's good. Here's the file. Yay.
Yay! Right on. We're on track.
It's on track. It's gonna happen. It's always like this. I was a drama teacher for many years, so I should know what happens on this. Where did it?
So, guys, this stream is brought to you by Paul Anthony Wallace, the Eden series. Let me bring that up over here. The Escaping from Eden and the sequel, Scars from Eden. And this is available at paulanthonywallace.com. I will put the link in the comments and have it scrolling on the bottom. And our other two sponsors are OurAlienAncestry.net, based out of Australia. These guys are doing wonderful webinars and wonderful work once a month, featuring some really, really good speakers. So you guys might want to check that out. And of course, Ancient Origins from Stephen and Evan Strong, ancientorigins.com. Check that out, the Out of Australia theory. I really resonate with this theory myself. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of genetic evidence that goes with this. So check that out, guys. It's pretty cool stuff, and it's a new avenue to explore, which really I like because it's a new theory and something new to explore. So there we go. Banners, and here is the website address, guys. paulanthonywallace.com. And let me just jump over to my email.
Thank you, George, for staying around when I did all through the technical difficulties.
I was just looking at a stone circle of 100 basalt boulders at Woody Yuang in Victoria.
Okay, basalt. Yeah, Woody Yuang. I've been there once, and I have some people there, some Indigenous people there, talking to me right now, and they're working on that arrangement and a lot of other arrangements around there too. So we're all sort of stuck in the stones there as well. Yeah, we have people who are on that, so that's good. As in looking more into it. Yeah, we seem to find more around Australia, what I believe is that it was all around Australia. That culture that participated in the building, the stonemason culture, I think was pan-Australian for a very long time, and then I think that culture died out slowly, and I think the remnants were where I am in northern New South Wales. I think it was the last area where they had that culture, that type of spirituality that worked with the stones and saw it on maybe a larger scale than just within Australia.
Yes, I've had arguments with anthropologists in Australia over the colonisation of Australia. I'm talking pre-white colonisation. I'm talking Aboriginal colonisation of Australia, with 4 major colonisations from Southeast Asia. I went up to Queensland, to Lake Marie. What's the name of that lake we went to? There's a lake up near Cairns, Lake Barron, because it's the last reported sightings of the Pygmy Negrito people that used to live in Australia.
Yeah, that's about. That's to do with the Barrian theory. I think it's pronounced the theory of that the indigenous that we know of today that populate the continent today are a third wave or second wave. That there were original inhabitants. Fourth wave. Yeah, there was a.
It seems I am not able to open that file.
That's okay. I'll just send you all the pictures.
Yeah, I can't open the file.
Australia has a far more fascinating history.
My system can't open up this file or this type of file. I'm not.
I'm just going to send you all the pictures, and they'll just come to you to the bunch. And hopefully, the order they're in should be okay, and it shouldn't matter if they're in disorder. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go. So here's lots of images. So you should start. Oh no, I've got to send them all. So it's going to take a few moments. Okay, so yeah, the Tyndale. You've heard of Tyndale, the anthropologist in the 1930s.
The theory of the 4 migrations. Yes.
Yeah, and it was him and another fellow who brought it up, and they both pushed it. That I think was what Tyndale wanted to achieve. I think they wanted his legacy, that he discovered that he had put the pieces together. But I don't think people. At that point, though, I think there was a political change. And during that change in circumstances, it became a bit of a hot potato to move towards that. And now, obviously, it's most people think it's not true. Yeah.
Well, we're still going to include the Pygmy Negritos in somehow.
Well, you have to. But the thing is, if you try to show images of it, it's considered racist. It's very hard in Australia to bring up an image of that. If I show a photo of the pygmy people, next to the white people and the naked pygmy people, it's just so hard to. It's politically contentious.
It is, unfortunately,
and a lot of what I have to go through is in that. Okay, the files are they still going? Okay, no, I think done. Okay, here we go. You now have 69 individual files. It says someone needs access to the file. I'm going to say everybody. No, I'll just send. Hopefully,
I bloody hope so.
Hope so.
To use the Australian term.
Bloody oath, mate.
Yeah, bloody oath. But it is difficult doing paleontology in Australia.
Okay. It is. Okay. You should have it. Do you have it yet?
Not yet. I'm just refreshing.
Okay. Now it says wants to share with George. Hey, George, you can have all my pictures too. Do you want them? Here they go. I just wanted to stop telling me.
No, I can't see them either.
Okay, it's saying
I'm waiting for them to come in. I'm just refreshing my email, waiting for them to come in. While they're coming in, I'd like to ask you guys your opinion on this image.
Not the Facebook one that's been around for 2 weeks. And the Göbekli Tepe image.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
What's the new image? What's new about this image? That one. No, I need to. I really need to get you my photos. Is anything getting anywhere to you right now?
I'm not seeing anything come in.
Okay. Let me try again.
You also remember that images are universal. Every country and every culture has got the spiral for the universe. Every culture has similar imaging for the sun, the moon. This is a more obscure one, but I don't.
For some reason, you got it, George. You got the images, but not you, Omar. Why do you? It just jumped to you. It must have been because I responded.
Okay. So is this your image?
Oh, you can see all them now?
Or is it Omar's?
No, can you see that whole bunch of images? Have they popped up? Or what's it? Omar's showing which one?
No, there was a thing on top of it saying. No,
that was the image. Yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. This should work. I'm just not even going to title it. I'm just going to send it. Attach. Okay. And now we'll have fun.
Yes, I'd like to see them. Your research is good.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, they're all coming through now. I'm just having to wait for them to load up. This one we'll get to you, Omar. Yeah, okay. So but you have a copy of them all, George. It'll be another 20 seconds.
I haven't got a copy of them.
Oh, okay, because it went to George. It went, I won't leave the screen to tell you where it went, but it said...
But did it go to my emails?
I think it went to your emails.
Let's have a look. Do you mind if I keep them?
Yeah, that's why I said I was not going to send it, because I was aware, but I thought no point in me showing you a bunch of that stuff, and then later you go, what did you show me? You know what it is. What you want to use something. And then everything I send you, George, you're welcome to use, okay? You just put my name on it if it's something that you...
Yeah, I always put names on them. Right. If there are names.
If it's my stuff, if I'm just sharing, say, that image that Omar just shared, then don't worry, because that's been around. I'm just saying, don't be too... I'm not too panicked. Okay, it's almost there. It's almost there. And last one. No, second last one. Oh, okay, last one. Okay, send. Okay. You should receive it. It's on its way.
Yeah, I've got 2 images.
Yeah, you'd have some images, but I've just sent you Omar, all of them now. They are sent to you.
I'm just refreshing my page.
And I'll just check that I've definitely done that by going to my Gmail and refreshing.
Nothing yet.
Okay, that's okay.
There we go. I got it.
You got it? Yeah. Okay. So load them up as you want and we can start talking. How about that? Go for it.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. And George, you just jump in anytime or whoever wants to.
No, you're the expert, so but I probably will.
Yeah, you can't help yourself. I wouldn't be able to. But still, if someone said, hey, I've found a big stone arrangement and it means some ancient civilization, I'd hope you be a bit quizzical.
Looks like I need to request access.
Oh, how do you do that? Why can't you
just sending you an email? It says you'll get an email letting you know if the file is shared with you.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll get that email. Wait a sec.
Yeah, I've got all of them now.
Yeah, you'd have them all. Great.
Are you able to open them, George?
Yeah, I'm finally going to get somewhere. Okay, I'm just looking at my email.
Try opening up an image, George.
Okay, share request. All right, I'm going to share request. Clicking that on. What do I need to do? Yeah. Come on, load it. Waiting for
all of them
okay,
here.
So I'll just say share. Okay, there. Oh. But does that mean I have to share all of them one by one?
I'm not sure.
It's shared it as one big picture.
What? Oh no, that's just a slideshow of the slideshow.
Okay. I'll
did I share? I think I've shared it to you. If I shared it, it says you share this file. Why would I ask me permission to share files?
Slide 2 is a pyramidion.
I'll see if I can see anything. A pyramidion. Oh, I'll have to see what you mean by that. Do you mean a pyramid side rock?
Yeah, pyramid
side rock. Yeah, great. Okay, I'll see if you're right. Yeah, you're on the right thing. That's it. Okay, so I'm ready to go. But Omar, have you been able to access it yet?
I'm just loading it up just now to see if it loads up, and it looks like it's going to load.
Huh. I hope it's all of them, not just that one.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So tell me if you can actually access all the images.
Okay. I've got this one. Let me share my screen and let's see what happens.
Yeah, good luck.
I believe I may have to.
Is there anything I can do here? Let me know.
Do you want to make yourself a sandwich or something? This might not finish till 1:30. Oh, you've got your first screen up. Good. I was turning my screen out so you could see my second screen.
Okay, so Omar, that's the first one, but can you get to the next screen without having to share it?
Yeah, I can't.
So you can't have, I've sent you 69 pictures. You can't just open those pictures all together. They just, it's odd. But you can't, you can see the 69.
Yeah, I need access for
every photo.
George, why don't you see if you can share your screen with us?
I'll try to share it. Maybe there's some. I think I've got an idea, Omar. I've got an idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need access requests for every single image.
Yeah.
And yet mine doesn't need it. Mine just came as an email.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, how weird. Okay, Omar, I'll try again. But it will mean I'll have to wait for them to all load again. So it'll be another minute.
Just give me a moment. Okay, Gmail.
You're trying to send, yeah, if you could forward that to Omar. If you forwarded that to Omar, he should not have any problem.
Omar, what's your email address?
Watchers Talk.
Oh, hang on. I'll see if it's already here. I've got to go to the bottom of the screen. You're right.
Usually, if you forward that, he'll have it from you, and he shouldn't have that block. But I'm still trying to send it again, just to you, Omar.
Watchers Talk
222 at gmail.com.
I feel like we work at the Telegram. It's kids. We'll do it. my girlfriend would say it's, what would she call it? Something error. Is it that retrograde? Something's in retrograde, she'd say.
How many bloody books on my desk?
Not enough books.
There was the bloody keyboard. Okay. So we're looking at Watchers Talk 222 Omar Faizi sending.
Yeah, when I try to send it to you, I get this sharing drive permission, checking drive permission. But anyway, but this time it says it's sent to you again. So hopefully there's another lot sent to you. Let me check. I've got 2 sent to you.
See if mine's arrived, Omar. Oh, good. You should get the second picture.
If you get the second picture, you've done it. Unless you had to share that. Unless we had to. No, I never gave you a request for that. That could be good. Okay. So what time are we actually online now? Am I?
Yeah, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
We've been live since 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh my goodness, you've been working hard, guys. All right, but yeah, you should be fine now here, Omar. You have 2 sets of those files now.
Yeah, I just tried to open up the email that you sent me, Richard, and I got the same thing. It wants
every permission.
Yeah,
it wants. It doesn't give me. It does me.
And same thing with George.
Did you have a title screen?
Yeah, what George just sent me is asking that I need request
permission also.
Yeah, and I'm going to need permission for every single one. George, maybe the computer that you're on, maybe open it up in there and see if you can share your screen.
Well, I've got my screen open. If you can, I don't know how to share this screen.
Yeah. How weird is this situation?
Just go down to share.
Okay.
Click share screen.
I got to find the Watchers Talk stream again. Okay. Go to there and share.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, go to share screen.
Screen.
And then your email is in the Chrome tab. So go to Chrome tab.
Yeah,
it's on the very top. And then you should see where you have those images open.
Okay. Oh, hang on. It's only going to give me slide 2.
Richard, you're still not able to share your screen, eh?
Well, I can share my screen. I just can't share that window. I can share my entire screen. I just can't share. So I can show everything on my screen. I just can't share.
That's going to give us a... oh, I see your emails, George, and that's it. I'm not seeing any images.
That's weird because I sent it to you. But when I opened it...
What if I send it to you? I'm going to send it to you as images, not as attachment, okay?
Okay.
I think that could do it. I think we're going to get over it. This is it. Okay, so I'm just going to send you straight images. So they should just start popping up. That's the theory.
I don't know where I am at the moment or which one I'm using.
Okay, so try again a few photos, up to 50 photos allowed. Okay, so I'll just do the first 50.
I don't know why it's... Have you got a firewall on your screen at all, Omar?
I don't.
What?
I see your window down here that you're sharing, George, but I don't want to bring it on screen because it's just all your emails.
I'm uploading all 50 pictures to you individually now, and then at least that might do something. Maybe you can just grab them. Maybe you can grab my images and throw them into a folder, Omar, and then you can once they get to you.
I don't even know where my old screen was now.
Oh, don't worry, George. Well,
I don't want to lose the link with Omar.
No, don't do anything, George. You're cool. I'll just...
Except all I'm seeing is my old email screen sitting here.
Yeah, just stop sharing your screen, George.
Oh, I can't find your screen to unshare it.
Go to StreamYard on the tabs up top.
All right, now you've got Omar. You've got it. It can't stop you from seeing the images now. I've sent it to you as individual images.
Okay.
You just would have to grab those images and then maybe throw them in a folder, and it should just slideshow it because they're numbered. It should be good now.
There we go. Something just came in. Ding, ding. You have mail.
Okay. Wonderful. We should be all right now. I haven't even had my coffee yet.
There we go.
For everyone waiting.
I was supposed to start making lunch an hour ago.
So just throw up an image as soon as you have one. We'll start talking. I'm ready.
Okay, there we go. And I'm going to share my screen. We're in business, everybody.
It's like we're excited.
I believe this is.
Is this your first multinational interview, Richard?
No, I'm generally this disorganized.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here we go. So, all right, so let's begin. So I'll just talk them through. I normally have a 4-hour talk on this, but I'm going to shorten it just by saying, here's an image. If you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it, okay? So this is what I found. This is found on site. This is found at the Australian Stonehenge site, the site that was named that in 1938 by Frederick Slater. And that's my hand holding one of the stones. So that stone isn't meant to be there because we're talking about basalt here. We're right next to a volcano with Mount Warning, and it's pretty much can only be basalt. And when you dig anywhere, you get basalt and basalt columns. But this is sandstone. I'm going to show you examples of sandstones that are on the property that the farmer who bulldozed the stone arrangement in 1945, who took me there before he died. This is photos of me on the property with him, while I was with him pointing out the remains of what were carved standing stones that he said were between 30 centimeters long to 3 meters, 4 meters high. And I'm going to... Yeah, and so as you can see, it's very angular. as well. But I think that was part of something larger because he pushed more down the hills. So yeah. And anything you want to ask? And if you, I'm happy to have you move, or just move to the next slide, or is there so much to show?
Do you think this is naturally formed, or is this like tooled to get that angle that we're seeing?
I believe it was naturally formed, but I believe it was because they refused to tool it. It was like the idea that you know how you can see you might see a face in a stone. And that stone, and it just looks like a face. And I think what they did over a long time is the stone that looked like the shape they wanted, they would use. And maybe they'd carve it a little bit. So say they wanted an eagle, they wouldn't carve an eagle. They would walk until the eagle came to them. So it might take years. But they'd find that stone that looked like an eagle, and they'd use that one, and they'd bring it there. It wasn't necessary because you had time. You had time to find every piece, nature to present every shape you needed. But I do think there were carvings on the stones, and that's my opinion. I know that the archaeologists said the stones were carved. The ones in 1939, the ones in 1955, and also
weathers so quickly.
Pardon?
Sandstone weathers so quickly.
It's so quickly. Yeah, even the man, Jack Bashforth, and then I'll say his name. That's the first time I revealed his real name. People might think I made him up. But even Jack Bashforth, the fellow who bulldozed it, when he took me to this, he said even the stones since those 60 years since he did it had changed color. They're much more yellower, and just the erosion. He noticed they were different too. But that was interesting because it gave me an idea of the age of the stones as well. Yeah. So let's move to the next picture. We've got too much. We're going to run out of time. Okay, so this is a reconstruction of Stonehenge, the central section. It was 720 meters long, the arrangements. It was more than one arrangement. There was a central arrangement, which was the borer rings that you see in this recreation based on the maps made in 1938 and 39. But beyond that, north and south, there are other stone arrangements. So we're talking about 700 meters of stone arrangements, which took about 5 minutes on a fast walk to walk past and not study. So these stones would have had carvings on some of these stones. That's what I understand.
This elevation of land that these stones are standing on, is that artificial or is that natural?
It's natural, but it's been artificially flattened. The plateaus have been cut away. It once had steps around it. In 1938, 39, when they found it, there were still the remains of like a step pyramid type shape moving up towards in the inner bowl of it, coming up like a ramp, like an amphitheater.
Yeah.
And the water there in that picture doesn't exist there. This is an image with the water about 10,000 years ago. And so I brought the water up to the line of it, the time where the archaeologists think it was in full use. So, but today that's dry, and in reality, that plateau, that northern, the closest arrangement, the circle we can see closest to us, that's still there. The plateau is still there. It's shaped into the hill, but it's very flat. And you'll see photos coming up. You'll see the real photos if you keep on going, and you'll explain everything. That's just saying it's a dangerous area. Okay, it's sort of saying, why don't people know about these things? Well, you've got leeches and lice and nits and frogs and giant lizards and the world's most poisonous snakes and sharks.
My place.
Yeah, it's a really dangerous area to go through. For me to take a lot of these photos, I had to just not wear clothes because if I did it, I would have got trapped because there's just these things called wait a whiles. They just grab you, and as you wait a while to untangle yourself from these vines, that's when the leeches get you. It's you move in quick, you take your photos and get the hell out of there. Yeah.
It reminds me of Alberta Beach.
It's scary. It's a scary world. It's really dangerous there. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put a map to give you an idea of the arrangements we know of. So every blue icon you see there, it was an arrangement either known, and all of these were known before 1970 to have existed, before I arrived here. I got here in 2012. And the green icon is the rough position of where the Australian Stonehenge is, the large one, the one you just saw the recreation of. And they basically, as you see, move up. Now, there might be more, obviously, as you said, George, fantastically earlier about the stone arrangements in Victoria and other places like Woomera. The stone arrangements I've marked down here are only the ones I know in my locality. And I do know that they follow the song line. which other photos will show. Yeah, and I'm designating this entire area because only I know it, which includes the Mount Warning area. I just call it Lightning Place because to say Stonehenge when there are so many Stonehenges confuses people. And so, and also I worry about giving away details. So I just say in that Lightning Place region, there is this. So I know what's there and I know the history of the people here. So I can talk fairly, as an expert, I could say on the Indigenous, even though I'm not Indigenous, and on the settlement patterns and things of this area. So yeah, as you can see, any questions? There are quite a few. And you can see the last one was torn down in 1993.
And this is next to a crater impact site as well, right?
Mm. Yeah, the words. As we move through the images, that red circle, you see that red circle? That's the crater impact site. That's and the stone arrangements in that on the bottom left in that circle, that diamond sort of shape I have there. That circle is where is the caldera of Mount Warning, and that's where most of the arrangements were around that caldera, as well as that song line. So that the line of stones I put is the song line which reaches Uluru from Byron Bay, the easternmost point of Australia, to the centre of Australia. But around that song line, particularly, there are other arrangements which sort of honouring the Mount Warning. Remember, Mount Warning, the volcano, is the world's largest ring, naturally formed ring or stone circle on the planet. There are other craters, obviously, but they're meteorite impacts. There are maybe other stone arrangements, other stone circles under the water, but above land, it's the only terrestrial formed circle. It's the biggest circle on Earth, and it was made by Earth. And I'm saying that around here, around this big stone circle, they built stone circles. And I've got photos of stone circles here and sketches and evidence of them. Yeah.
How big is the circle around Mount Warning?
I think it's about 70 kilometres diameter. But if we keep on going, we'll see more photos. So I've got, I make.
You're stating that Mount Warning was the central uplift.
Just one final question about this image, Richard. Do you know if these standing stones are astronomically aligned to mimic?
They are.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah,
and
they are. Let's go. Let's show you more. Okay, so that fellow there, that gentleman there, the guy on the right, that's Frederick Slater. He was the head of Australian Archaeological Education Research Society, and he's the gentleman who organised the expedition to Australia Stonehenge. The man on the left, J.C. Wilbert, James Cavasso Wilbert, the man with the cool beard on the left, the moustache, he mapped the Jenolan cave systems in Victoria, which is 40 kilometres of cave systems underground. And he got awarded by the king for that before he was asked by Slater to map the Australian Stonehenge. You jumped all the way. Okay, we can show you that. I guess you went the wrong direction. Maybe it's all out of order. It doesn't matter. Well, okay, moving on. That's a picture of the man Jack Bashforth, but I obscured his face and his wife, and he's passed away. But he's the man who, when he was 19, bulldozed the stones. Well, actually didn't bulldoze it. He used the grader. The grader is a wide type bulldozer, and it flattens things. So it doesn't just knock things down. It turns it into objects about maybe hand size, like this size. It's made to build roads, and he took a week to tear down pretty much most of the remaining arrangements, including the central laurel rings. And he showed me where he did it. And no one knew precisely where it was until he showed me, because he's got a few mounds on his property, and people go to another mound which is much more clear, obvious as a mound than seeing the big plateau. Anyway, that's him, and that's me, and he's passed away, unfortunately. This is where it first got into the newspapers in 2013, and in the photo there you see Stephen Strong. Can you see Steve?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's there with a gentleman called Jambi, a lady called Sarah from the Historical Society, the local museum, and Jambi is an Indigenous custodian of the site. And this is them looking at the remains of the Australian Stonehenge. And yeah, just to show you, got into the paper. Yeah. Quick one about me. I'm sort of famous in a sense. I might have solved the Jack the Ripper murders. And I spent 20 years researching the Jack the Ripper murders, and I've been on television around the world for it. And I've got a book with a publisher that sells for that. And I did talk around the world on it before COVID. And it was all about solving a crime. And so I had no reason to be involved in this. I just happened to be, I came here for peace and quiet. I thought Byron Bay, I'll get away from murders and mysteries. And then I stumbled onto this.
There's a great documentary on this too on YouTube, guys. Check that out. I watched it about a couple of months ago. It's fantastic. Really, really good evidence. I'll try to find the link and post it for you guys.
Oh, well, look, I found a link from Jack the Ripper to my suspect to the Stonehenge, in the sense that I was talking about Jericho. You know, Jericho, how 10,000-year-old city in Palestine, and how it's hard to find Jericho. When they found Jericho in the 19th century, it was just a mound, and Jericho means mound. And I was interesting that the person who mapped Jericho out and first dug in 1860 was a person called Charles Warren, who was the archaeologist, but he was not. Charles Warren became the head of the Jack the Ripper investigation. He was the head of the police commissioner who failed to capture Jack the Ripper. And I studied his life very well. And it's interesting that he's the one who excavated Jericho and set the Western philosophy on how we look at what we call civilization, and saying you don't have a city unless you have pots. You can't have a city unless you see a mine that they dug into the ground, or you can't have a city unless you have a battalion army, located somewhere, or where's the great fields. Their concept of what makes a city, that Machu Picchu wasn't known then. Anyway, there. That's me. That's moving through. That's me holding a talk. That's me holding one of the snake stones on another arrangement, which is not too far away, about 3 kilometers away, which that was not bulldozed, which is good. So we can see walls and evidence of it there, which is great, but it's hard to reach. And that's my book. All the details are in my book. It's for free. Download it, read it. 170 illustrations, hundreds of, thousands of words. It's fantastic. It tells you all the details, everything you need to know.
May I intrude?
Yeah.
It's interesting that this is on a meteorite crater.
Well, a volcanic crater.
A volcanic or meteorite?
It's a volcanic crater, but continue, because there is a meteorite connection I'd like to talk about soon. But
okay, because when you said it was a meteorite crater, and I postulated that the volcano was actually the central uplift.
I know. Yeah, no, that's why when you said uplift, I paused, and then I came in with a question because I wasn't quite sure how you were phrasing that uplift, how you were phrasing that, but I get it now. No, it was once a huge mountain. It was once 3 times higher, Mount Warning. Mm-hmm. They call it Mount Warning because when they first rediscovered Australia, when Captain Cook was coming down the coast to land in Botany Bay and do all that, he almost became shipwrecked here. And when it happened, there was a huge mountain he pointed to, and he named it Mount Warning to warn sailors to be careful here. And it was, and then it was massive, and it still is high. It's a big mountain, but back in the day, it was 3 times higher. And that caldera shows how big it used to be, but it's almost, or maybe even 10 times more. It's a lot of it went into. It was the biggest volcanic explosion in history in the last. But it happened 23 million years ago, so a long time ago. Oh, so here in pictures, sorry, just if you can go back one quick, I'm here at actual maps from 1912 and 1893 showing the position of the mound. I put a little sort of crosshair over it, but I've got the original, the copies, and you can get these online, and they're on my website. But the mound is clearly shown. People don't believe the mound even existed. People think Slater made up the mound, the archaeologists, or that I made up the mound. But people knew about the mound before anyone I'm talking about, even Slater was born, It was always here. And Mullumbimby, the town nearby, the closest town, means mound, means hill, mound without grass, or grassy mound without trees, a bare mound. So it's interesting that you've got a mound here, but people say it doesn't exist. And when we take photos of the mound, they won't refuse to look at the photos. They said the photo can't be real. Some people are in academia still. Anyway, next. Oh, that's a picture of what it looks like. The river around it. It's very tranquil and pretty. That's the river of the Simpsons Creek. Not too far from that's the side. Next. Thank you, Omar. This is the portfolio I found. I didn't know about any of this until 2013. I found this document in the museum, and I opened it up and it showed maps of the stone arrangement. And that's the photo of the document that was put in the museum in 1999. And it's the documents from 1964 which come back from 1939. So it's got a history of expeditions to the site, and all the details are in there, including the letters of Frederick Slater. And this is a zoom in of the letters of Frederick Slater. And here Slater is describing the stone arrangement. And he's saying it works as a kind of energy device. He basically is saying the ancient Egyptians used stones like this in these patterns and setups and these types of stones to cause vortexes and energy and fields, which we might call magnetic fields today, that sort of thing. Anyway, he's just saying this is the indigenous were doing it here, and the Egyptians were working with the indigenous. But Slater believed that the Egyptians were coming here to teach the indigenous, but I believe it was the other way around, based on the age of the indigenous population and other things. Okay, next. And if you want to ask questions, jump in. That's a recreation of the site I've done fairly recently. That's based exactly on the maps. What you see there on that recreation is the positions are correct and the scale is correct. The shape of the stones, as in the carvings on the stones, I haven't replicated on this. But that gives you an idea of the scale of the central section of the 720 meters. Okay, next. And that's to show the map, the original map from 1939, 38, created by Cavasso Williams, of the expedition that went for 2 years. And that's the recreation I did of it based on that, on the size and scale and the direction. Okay, next. That's a zoom in. That is one of the stones. If you go to Stonehenge now, today, grab up the stone like the one I had in my hand earlier, the primordial rock, and get really close, that's what you see. And basically it's quartz and iron, so it's sandstone. It's not basalt, what's normally read here. So geographically, it's impossible. There's no reason for it to be found on the ground, apart from maybe 14 kilometers away. This here shows Mount. See that distant triple peak? That's Mount Chikogan, which is right near Mullumbimby. Mount Chikogan, that triple peak means from here a child is born, and it's meant to be a woman lying on her back giving birth. And the hills in the foreground is where the Stonehenge was. The further rise mound is the plateau, would be the southern circle, and it came bold around to near where we're standing and child off to the right side, which was the northern circle. So it was a boomerang shape, and it faced towards the northeast. Northwest towards, well, I'll tell you where it faces. It's kind of, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but Mount Chikogan there becomes the center feature to look at from the center point. That's a ditch dug by Steve Strong to show it's alluvial soil. You don't get sandstone, you either get basalt or mud. And he's digging. This is a site he did during the 2014 expedition with the Forgotten Origin people to show that there shouldn't be sandstone. So let's go next. Oh God, we're going to run out of time. That's more examples. See that vehicle at the top of the hill on the top right? That's Jack Bashwolf. He's actually, when he took me there, he drove over the stones, crushing them all to show me what he bulldozed as he cried and confessed he'd done it. Let's go on. More. Now that's again that primordial one, but also you see very round ones. See, this is on the same hill. This mound is 4,000 tons of earth, and it's called the burial mound of the Five Kings, and it's right near where this big Stonehenge arrangement was. And this is another mound that would have actually been an island in the day. Can you go next? Okay, so this is another. These are found on the mound, and what you find is it's sandstone, but it's different shapes and sizes and different colors. And what we learned was that the Australians all along the east coast would gather here to Byron Bay, which means cavern, which in the indigenous language is cavern bar, which means gathering place or meeting point, being the easternmost point of Australia. And Byron Bay is a big popular destination for tourists. It's the same back then for meeting. Continue. So they brought their stones. So they bring the stones from their village, from their tribe, to that mound. And as they added the stone from where they came from, or even up to Arnhem Land, Northern Territory, the mound became part of theirs. So that land rights that they talk about, they all owned the mound. It was like the Geneva of mounds, the UN of mounds, because they helped build it. Each tribe and part of their stone they carried there to the site signified their clan. It became a place that they all owned. So there wasn't, which is good for everyone. Next. This is the mound I'm talking about with a scarred tree on it. So this mound here is artificial. It was built, and it's mainly for sandstone. And with a scarred tree being a burial tree on the top, this is called the Mound of the Five Kings, where they say the energy is pillars into the sky. And I'm going to show evidence of this sort of so-called assumed magical energy, which is really magnetic energy or cosmic energy. But that's the burial mound of the Five Kings. If we can go on, because we're going to run out of time, there's so much. Okay, more sandstones found there. See, they're very different, and they shouldn't be there. Just to say, it's odd and unusual on a dairy farm. There's no reason they were taken there. There's no history of them being brought. But these are the remains Jack told me of this carved giant standing stones, the 500 standing stones. No, there were 188 of the central section. Next. This is the burial. This is the serpent arrangement. This is the one that's near the ocean. This one is where we believe people came to visit at it, sort of like It's basically a snake. What you have here is that big boulder. You have these massive big boulders, and around the boulders you get snake walls that come to spiral out from it. And there's several major boulders, several of these spiral trails of stones that spiral into the snake, into these sort of big boulders. And the indigenous people who took me there showed me that the actual landform is a snake-like landform. And on that boulders and on those walls, they actually had snake scaled stones to replicate, to build giant snakes. So Stonehenge-sized giant snake patterns. And that's there is some of the stones used to do the snake patterns on the giant snakes that were there, the snake mounds. This is, remember, not Australia's Stonehenge. This is part of the complex of mounds. So this is towards the coast. So this is when you first initiated would arrive. Next. More examples of these snake stones, or these serpent stones, see here in the trails. Now, and what you find is the trails, because they go as like a snake would be, where a snake is big and then gets smaller as you get to the tail, same as this of the snakes, the scales, they get more finer as this giant snake walls get smaller as they curl around these giant boulders that are right near the Snaking River. Continue. And remember, this area here is the rainbow serpent, the rainbow snake in Australia. The songlines meet here from Uluru to here. So the Great Divine Range is meant to be the Great Rainbow Serpent from Victoria up to here, to Byron Bay, the middle of Australia. And so the snake stones are drinking from the water that are also leading to the desert. So these are standing stones you find all over the place. You might think, when I found the map and thought, are there stone arrangements in here? I thought it's a bit weird that everywhere I look are standing stones. It's a weird place. And these are just normal standing stones found. You just find on the side of the road, hundreds of standing stones all around the town. And people don't know how to there. And I think
it's pretty odd. Pretty odd to see houses and in people's yards.
And they don't see them. They don't. Some of them don't even know they got. I go to the house and say, "Well, when's that big sandstone been there?" They say, "What's standing stone?" So can we go next? There's so much to show.
It's interesting. More. Standing stones. It's interesting. Standing stones. They look exactly the same as the ones near Kingunya in South Australia.
I think that's what I mean. A lot of them, these are other standing stones all around this area within 5 kilometres. Okay. And even that one on the top bottom right, see that one that's Stonehenge? That thing looks like a Stonehenge. That's a replica. There's so many standing stones here. Farmers build giant Stonehenges here, and that's basalt. But you've got sandstone as well, and they put around roundabouts and they clear the land. And all these standing stones, some of them are like 12 meters, 30 meters high. That weigh and there's one standing stone which I haven't got a photo of that looks like Australia, the whole map, but it's too heavy to lift up and move. Can we go to the next one?
It's also, I was going to say, it's has a resemblance to the Karnak stones in France.
Don't they? They do. And that's that idea they all came together. Here's some more examples. All around here. And this is the actual sandstone arrangement they found in 1968. This is a mini version. It was taken to the local park, but then it was vandalized the second time. And now it sits in a cupboard at the local museum. And all those stones there are just in a big pile without labels, and they don't even know what they're doing there. Like, I went there, they don't even know why they're having their museum. And they're about to throw them out. But I'm going to be working with them so that doesn't happen. I'm going to rebuild that. Can we go next? Yeah, I'm going to rebuild it. With the stones. This is Stephen Strong. Looking at, and this is a whole bunch of standing stones he found, which he says come from the Australian Stonehenge. And you can see from the discoloration, they once stood up for a long time. Half of them have been in the ground. And that patina, that surface sort of coating that happens from the oxidization, you can see. And he believes these Australian stones that were on the Australian Stonehenge, but I believe the ones Australian Stonehenge were much larger than these, but I believe that they've been totally destroyed. And I'll explain why.
Really looks like also the stones that we find at Gunung Padang pyramid, right, strewn on the top of the mountain or top of the pyramid.
Okay, this is
the quarry they came from.
These quarries here. Where are these stones coming from?
Yeah, where's the central quarry because they're just large basalt crystals.
Yeah, there's several quarries here, and a lot of these came out of just got dug out of the ground. What you're seeing here is reproduction. Some people think these are actual indigenous and that they were there. I don't know. So I'm going to say no at this stage, and that it's a modern folly, like a recreation. But this is in a property in Tioga, not only about, say, 4 kilometers away. And a German guy built these, or says he built them, but he calls them crystals because when they were first built, they were black and polished and shiny crystals. There, like some pictures of Strange Stonehenge made out of a black sort of onyx. You know, would have been beautiful in the day. But there are several quarries, but not all of them came out of the quarries, and some that and anyway, I'll show you. Okay, this is other. What just to show you the propensity. People here always want to make stone arrangements around this giant caldera, I believe, and this is a modern representation. So this is the last 100 years. Can we continue to get to more older stuff?
Yeah, I would just.
If you have any questions, go for it. Sorry, I know I'm speeding but I'm happy to pause.
I was going to say this down here reminds me of actually a couple of things. One, it reminds me of Mount Sharia in Russia, just a very small scale of it. And second, it shows that there's the megalithic builders with the bigger stones, and then a culture that came afterwards that had lost the knowledge and then filled in with smaller stones, as we see in South America.
Yeah, and I believe these stones we're seeing that the bigger stones are actually smaller stones for what were once bigger stones. But yeah, let's move. Here again, see that crystal here? They traded in crystal. The indigenous people here told me they traded in crystal, and that's an example of one of the crystals found near the Australia Stonehenge. I'll show it a bit better. Let's go. Next one.
Why is it always Adam? Adam's crystal, Adam's bridge, Adam's.
Well, I spelled that badly. Yeah, Adam. The person who took me there, his name was Adam.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And the person holding it's called Adam. And I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, you know, don't give us all these Western names." But you can't tell an indigenous person called Adam. Can I have another name because it's not authentic? So, this is Jerry Bostock. He's quite well known. He passed away, but he was Bundjalung, and he says here very clearly they used crystals, they created vortexes, and the cross and the wheel is very important to them in this particular part. And Slater's maps and Cavasso's diagrams of the Australian Stonehenge are crosses and wheels. Okay, so it's Slater was in Sydney, didn't even come here, and just had people. You know, he was old in the expedition 1938, but the people who came and mapped it out, they couldn't have known the culture any better the way they mapped it out. There's no way they could have hoaxed this because they wouldn't have known the local belief systems all the way there back in 1930 in Sydney, when all they have was no Aboriginals to talk to and just a whole bunch of stones. Can we go next?
How interesting that this image right here of this stone, it almost looks like a moai.
Yeah, and you see it's very much like that, what we saw, as you said before, about how we have a synchronicity between the symbols in Goblet Tepe. This is a figurine that was found near the arrangement, just to show that you have these odd discoveries. And that's made of stone, and that's a 69. I know it sounds rude, but the 69er image, it's actually two people, and they're doing this sort of infinity symbol with their bodies, like two spirals. This is a whole bunch of indigenous people around here talking about the arrangements here, or talking about this as a gathering place. And so let's move on. And that's a photo from here's again. Yeah, we get a lot of giant heads here as you head towards along that song line. You get giant. That's about maybe 4 meters high or big. That face, you get a lot of them, and you also get. And that's another one of those serpent sort of stones. You get is about maybe half a meter tall, or maybe 70 centimeters tall, or something. This is stuff you get in the Lightning Place region, or within Stonehenge. And these giant faces, I believed, were basically, what you call sky gods or heroic beings for the songline for the pilgrimage. Next, please. Okay, these are sketches of stone arrangements found well before our time. This is 1885 sketch of a giantess grave in Tarragon, which is within that Lightning Place. It's actually at the caldera, on the caldera, and the one on the bottom left, that simpler one of the normal typical stone arrangement, was found in the late 19th century, 1885 again, down there. And this one there was on the pinnacle, which is this jutting thing on the caldera that points towards the mountain, this beautiful like eagle wing that juts out high over the landscape. And that was on that, which would have been so hard to put rocks up there at the top of that caldera. We're talking about something like 2,000 meters. Next. All right, this is Slater looked at the carvings on the stone arrangements, okay, using a book that he'd been given by an anthropologist who was very respected called Goddard, and he got that book because his grandmother made it, and it was a book made of the secret sacred symbols and language of all the elders throughout Australia. This sort of pan-Australia language, sort of like a Freemasonry symbol thing. And this is Slater looking at one of the symbols and discussing what it means based on the book he got from this woman who got it translated by Sacred Margaret Rilke language from an elder. Now, that language, they thought until Slater came around that it was a song, it was stories, it was oral, or it was gestures and symbols. But Slater showed with the stone arrangement and the writing of the 28,000 words he could see were in the stone arrangements, in the carvings and the positions, that they actually had writing. People talk about treaty in Australia. The Aborigines, I believe, had written a treaty for anyone to find thousands of years before they'd arrived. The only thing is when the English found the treaty, they couldn't read it, saying the Indigenous were illiterate and tore it down. But Slater's talking about this particular symbol that's to do with ESP. The idea is that if you get all your senses perfectly aligned, taste, touch, all the 5 senses, and bring them all to yourself, you get a common sense, because all the senses come in common. But that together, it's like 4 people can lift a bigger object. If all the senses come to common, you actually move to the ESP realm. And this is what he was discovering through just the first symbol of the 28,000. Yeah. Okay, this is building the stone arrangement. On the stone arrangement, you have the 7 sisters. You mentioned, George, before about the constellations and the arrangement. This is the center part of the stone arrangement, and you can see they've marked the 7 sisters, the Pleiades star system out. And it's very old, and the Pleiades is big. It's a big deal here for the sisters.
There were the women present at the first circumcision. The sisters of the Pleiades.
That's it. And this is the initiation ceremony. Here's a cross circle on the top left, comes from Australian Stonehenge from 1938, the maps. And once again, you see that the cross circle, the symbol of that idea is at least 10,000 years old. First seen in Australia. You first see it in Australia before anywhere else in the world. And you've got the Ankh, which is a cross symbol. And so I'm saying that the Indigenous people had this symbol, worshipped it, understood its meanings, and it extrapolated around the world many, many thousands of years ago before the Syrians, because we're talking about 120,000 years in Indigenous time. Syrians is a blink. Can we go to the next one? So much. Okay, and this is, you'll know this stuff, so I'll just go quickly because this is for people who are unaware of the idea that there were, I'm talking about people who know nothing. You guys have had, days of conferences, so we'll go real quick here. So I'll just say quickly, you've got here boomerangs in Egypt. This is Slater talking about how this is a bit where Slater got knocked down, because now Slater found that they were saying that the intelligence that came from somewhere else, off planet. Slater started to talk about off planet because he said that's the message. The message is that we are not alone. And when he started to show that, that's when things went sour for him and for the arrangement by 1945. Next. This is just showing all the language and similarities between Indigenous language here and other root languages overseas, the Arabic, the Assyrian, Oriental, the Indian, and how you've got, particularly in Australia, we share this shared lexicon. Next, this is before DNA. This is not, you don't talk about this now. Before, this was 1840. There's the trunk right in the center around this tree, the tree of life on the left, the star tree. This is found in the center. You've got the 10 stones, which are the 10 paths of lives. And it was a unique feature. They carved trees in here. So the center of the stone arrangement had a giant tree in the center, just showing you that. And it was to do with what we now call the occult. Yep, next. This is Slater again. And this is his notes. And he's made lots of diagrams of the stone arrangements and showing the vortexes and the energy fields, where Slater is basically saying the whole thing was a giant machine. That the arrangement in the center was a mechanism that did something. And this is where he got in trouble. This is where he's talking here. And I'm just here showing it could be like the anti-theory mechanism, that idea. And it does resemble it. This old, we all know about this old thing from 200 BC. But this thing here could be tens to 100,000 years old. Can we go to the next picture?
This looks like I've come to the end of my reign here.
Oh, okay. Well, I only sent you 50. So maybe you must have gone through the 50. Great, we're going through it. I want to get to the good bits soon. All right, we can talk about what I just shown you. I'll send you the next lot of 50 unless you can get it from someone else. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll just send you the next bunch.
I just want to see if I was going backwards or if there's any...
No, I think I only sent you 50 and I hadn't had time to send you the next lot. So
oh, wow, I went through 50 images. That's crazy.
Cool. I've got so much. I haven't even shown you film footage. There's so much I want to show you. It's always logged me out. Doesn't matter.
So while you're doing that, Richard, I will
Yeah, Paul, tell me, ask me a question.
Guys, I've put a couple of links for Richard in the comments. One is his website, so head on over there and download your free book. And the second one is the Jack the Ripper documentary. I think you guys may enjoy that, especially if you're into serial killers and stuff like myself. It was very fascinating, very cool documentary. So check those out. Those links are available in all of the chat rooms. If some chats are scrolling by really fast, just scroll up and there will be. But at the conclusion of the video, I will put all the links to the speakers in the description of this video, so it's easier to find. And I will pin it in the comments as well.
I'll have to exit full screen for a second, and I'll have to jump to send the image. So could I be unshared for a second? I'll be gone for maybe a sec, and then you can talk to each other. And I'll jump
sure. Sure.
Thanks. So don't share me, and I'll just get this mail sent to you. Okay. Okay, here's the next lot of pictures, and I'll send them as individual again.
So what do you think, George?
Yeah, what do you think about all that so far?
It's good. I'm enjoying it. It ties in with a lot of the stuff I've written over the years. I've written a fair bit of books, a fair bit on world mythology, and Omar's reading one of my books now on strange world mythology. It's only a small thing. I think it's only 700 pages or something.
Yeah, this one is a small one. 309 pages, I believe.
Okay. Omar, I've sent you the next lot.
Okay.
Also, there are. I've got 3D films, and I've got interviews with a whole bunch of. I've made a movie. Don't forget, link that film. I've just finished that quick one made at home, but it does go through a lot of stuff and manages to show. We've got an Origins point of view and History Channel's point of view of this, Indigenous locals point of view. So it's all there for people to know. Anyway, I'll come back in again. Do I click share or jump in again?
You can just jump back in.
Yep.
I'm just waiting for the email to come through.
I'm going to be rude.
Yeah, George.
I'm going to leave the program on in the background, but my blood sugars are crashing being a diabetic, and I have to make something to eat.
Okay, George.
I'll listen in the background. I'll just turn it's a 30-inch monitor, so I'll just turn it around.
Have fun and enjoy. Get some to eat.
If I don't get to speak to you live, George, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, my friend. I love you very much. And hopefully I can talk to you again before the stream is over. But if not, take care of yourself. And I will shoot you an email or a message at the conclusion of this conference.
And a copy of the interview, if you can, too, please.
I will do that. Absolutely.
Thank you, George. Thank you for listening. And
lovely to meet
really
you. I've got to eat. It's been 4.
Yeah. Go eat. I feel. I know you've done a lot of.
Your health is more important.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. I'll still be listening to it, so I'm just turning the monitor around.
Okay. George.
Plus, I've got all your other notes anyway.
Yeah. No.
So
thank you,
just
George.
leave me out of the screen.
Yep.
And thank you. It's been great. I've learned a lot from it.
All right, leave him out of the screen. He has a nice room. Okay, so more. Okay, so these are more of them. Good. Okay, so this is once again. I know they're a little bit random, but this is a picture of Mount Shikogan on its side, the side view of Mount Shikogan, and this is because a lot of I've had Indigenous people and other organisations approach me from that represent people around the world, like as in other Indigenous groups, some South America. And a lot of them are saying that it's actually a woman's site. And it's actually meant to be, as you can see here, the ovaries and the reproductive system. Some men are saying women not to go near it. So there's a bit of issue here about what is taboo for male and female. But I believe this area was both male and female.
Is it talking about divine feminine energy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't see why women would not be allowed to go there, but
well, my book explains this. There's a lot of taboos about male and females here in Indigenous, and they, as in women aren't meant to go anywhere within hearing distance of it. Some say. Okay, so this is interesting because what happened is you got Frederick Slater. He finds this stone arrangement. He matches it with his book that he has given by this lady who has a sacred language. He rediscovers the sacred language. He says it's a huge machine, and then he disappears. By 1947, he's out of the picture. Don't hear him again. He's a crazy man in the press. You don't hear anything. But at the same time, you start to get the UFOs happening, which are basically the same saucer shape. Because if you look at what we have at Stonehenge, it's a boomerang shape, which here it's shown length stretched out, but it's a boomerang shape. It's a torus. And also the cross circles of torus is looking inwards. It's almost like a psychogeometry where you're trying to see 3 and 4th dimensions from a 2-dimensional object. So the vortex is created through that. Anyway, I'll show how I believe this is interesting to science and things. So this is some description of this area of the Central Stonehenge from 1955, based on Jack Backforth, the fellow who I met. He told him when he was much younger than the 1960s that what he heard, which was a rite of passage, that the idea is you had to perform a feat. Now, I think he would have thought some sort of somersault, but really the feat would have been a spiritual survival as you could move through the stages. Here's a bit more. You can see better the caldera on the bottom right, that sort of circle, and the red dot is where Australian Stonehenge is, so it extends up to that circle. And the picture in the center of the hand is Slater showing that the stone arrangement was actually a hand outstretched. It was actually like a hand of welcome, like a grab your hand stretch with the thumb on the left. But also, so the sacred geometry is in the hand. It's basically this antenna that's extrapolating, I believe, the energy, that's giant stone circle, around the world. It's harnessing that, the way the pyramid harnesses the earth, perhaps. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Okay. Interesting enough, they did try to build over it a few times. They're constantly trying to build houses here over it. And the last time they tried to do it, they had Indigenous people go there and look at it. And the funny thing is, the official report that said, yeah, you can build all over it, said, yeah, sure, there is an arrangement there, but we don't think it's Indigenous. But then the question is, who built it?
Yeah,
yeah. Well, this is the official government. This is the Planners North. This is they said it's just worthless background security. Sure, there's a big stone arrangement was there, but it's not Aboriginal, so who cares? But then they're going to bulldoze it, but they don't say who it is. It's odd.
That's it really is.
Oh, you'll get lots of madness when you this is problems.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So this is even shown without Slater. This is showing local news reports just talking about the stone arrangement. So it was known. People knew this thing was around here, like the other stone arrangements I was showing you sketches of. Next, please. Oh, and this is just showing the lady who got the book for Slater. So this lady there, during a massacre, Aboriginals were being massacred left, right, and centre, where she lived in southern New South Wales during the Frontier Wars. And they decided, the elder of a surviving massacre had read her poem she'd put in the newspaper, or had heard it being spoken. And it was such a beautiful poem showing them how wrong it was that people were being killed just because of the colour of their skin, that he gave her the sacred language. He was one of the last surviving elders. So he gave her the words and she wrote it down and learnt the language. And it was that book she got, of the sacred Mugger language shared by the Indigenous for thousands of years, that only a few survivors knew, that she gave to Slater. Well, it got to Slater, that book, which he used to interpret the stone arrangements. Next, please.
So sad to hear about genocide like that in Australia and here in North America against the Aboriginal people. It just truly breaks my heart every time I hear that.
Yeah, it's awful. And here's some pictures. Here's a whole bunch of newspaper articles all the way from 1939 that was all around Australia that talked about this stone arrangement. But today you can only talk about it because it's offensive to Indigenous, or no one's allowed to know and didn't exist. You don't see anything today because they say it didn't exist, but everyone knew about it in 1939, and the stone hill is still there, and the stones are still there, just pulled apart. Next, please. And this is showing, this is where now we go a bit cosmic here. So here you can see that view on the top is Mount Togan, which is from here a child is born, that mountain, the pregnant woman. And exactly from the center of Stonehenge, when you go into where the tree stood, where the 10 stones were, and you look towards the north, look from the center of the bowl outwards, you're looking northwest, and you're looking directly at that triple peak. Okay, and the triple peak looks just like the pyramids from the Sphinx.
Yeah.
And the triple peak, and if you look at Ben Croshan in Scotland, a snake mound, exactly what you got on what we have in Australia. It's a serpent mound with the spirals in the center, with the stone arrangement in the center. The serpent mound was 700 meters. There's a serpent mound in Scotland. If you look at the direction, it goes right there facing Ben Croshan, which is again a triple peak. And near water, like this one, you've got snake patterns near water sources, exactly, and that matches the date. That is how we can date this being 10,000 years old in Australia. So I believe that they were replicating this mountain, Mount Chikogan, the child being born to the giant stone circle, and they were extrapolating. And if we go on, I can show you how it went around the world.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you know if these mountains had been manipulated to look like a pyramidal shape.
I believe they were, and I can show you photos of that if we what it looked like before the trees. Oh, okay, this is Slater in 1939. He said, you know what, this mount I've discovered, or we've found here, it looks just like the Ohio Snake Mount. There's a lot of connections to Mount Auburn. And also, he noticed that Loch Nell in Scotland matched this one as well. This is in 1939 without our Google, you know, without being able to internet everything up. You know, you couldn't get a photo. How did he know? Unless he really knew. Oh, this is too bad to show. That figure on it's too bad. But on the top left is a map to show a 7-kilometer snaking hill, which I believe was artificially carved, well, not made, but actually carved out of the existing hill, which snakes to the edge of the ocean. At the end of that head is where that snake, those snake mounds I showed you earlier with the giant serpents were on. So you've got a giant snake going from moving 7 kilometers to drink from the water from the sea, or go from the river there. And then that snake is actually pulling toward Larue. So you've got the giant snake serpents coming together and part of the landscape here. You know, like it would have been amazing in the day before it all wore away. Next, please. Okay, that spiral here, the most sacred symbol in the indigenous culture is the Chiringa stone, or that sacred stone. That's what the elders carried. That was their vortex stone. That was their ceremony stone. Big all around Australia. And the 3 spirals was the big deal to them, the Chiringa stone. You have the biggest, most decorated site of prehistoric site is this Newgrange area in Ireland, and that one there, like the most decorated site in all of Europe or the world. It's like a museum of how much, or gallery. And the central symbol is this triple spiral, which can only be seen when the light shines in it through the passage to the king. And I believe that person there was an Aboriginal, because that light shines. That passage points to Australia.
This passage right here?
Yeah, that points to Australia, and that points to Australia, southeast, and only on the solstice, only when the sun's rising from Australia does the light shine, only once a year, one day a year, to that 3 circle, which is
it kind of looks like a boomerang as well.
Yeah, it does. Moving on. Oh, so many parts. I'm going to go around the world here. Oh, okay, so quickly, we've got India on the bottom left. You've got this place in India that shares 1,000 lane words with the Bunjalong, which is the name of the tribe here, and only this small area of Australia compared to the rest of it. And that area of India, what's it named for? The most stone arrangements in the world. And they have the same languages here. Dilly bags of 80,000 years old, and acacia was kept in that. To DMT was kept in dilly bags, which acacia, the largest acacias in the world, grow here in this little part of Australia. And acacia with the DMT and the pollen. Yep. And you've got the dilly bag. I believe that Anaka, that's what they had in their bag, the trippy stuff with their stones. And that spiral, see what he's got on his wrist? That's the symbol of Australian Stonehenge. And they were traveling the world. And I can show you Olmec as well. Can we move on? Because we're going to run out of time so much. Snakes and ladders. There we go. Bottom right symbol from the island one. You know, that we're talking about the Goblet of Tepe thing again, replicated. But then obviously it's an indigenous thing. You've got the Chiringa stones on the top right, the symbol of meeting place, which is a very well-known Aboriginal symbol. Again, you've got that in that bowl, which I believe had acacia seeds. That's 50,000-year-old. That pattern on the centre near the Aboriginal on Australia. So the oldest circles in the world. That's Tasmania, 30,000 years. The oldest spirals on the planet were carved by human beings here before it went anywhere in the world. Next, please.
Amazing.
Okay, Australian Stonehenge matches English Stonehenge. If you get the globe and you go dig down, you'll get to Australian Stonehenge. They face each other, sort of like on top and bottom of the world. Australian Stonehenge, the horseshoe, faces the Australian one. It goes around that direction, that south. On the bottom right, you've got the English Stonehenge. That passageway, that big corridor, which was a road, was also lined with stones. That road faces Australia. And if you dig down, you get to Australian Stonehenge, which is also horseshoe shape, which happens to be facing the English Stonehenge. And you only see it, you only face that direction when you get to the center of the horseshoe of the Australian Stonehenge, where the tree is. From the tree, Mount Chuka, you keep on looking, your eye would go around the world directly looking pretty much at the English Stonehenge. Amazing. So it's a global thing. Here, you've got the Seven Sisters. As I showed you before, the Seven Sisters are built into the arrangement of the Australian Stonehenge. Okay, and that's shown by Slater. Funny enough, see here, I don't know if you actually can't see. If I looked out my window, I can show you that directly from my window is Easter Island. Easter Island, Rapa Nui, is directly east from here. Okay, Easter Island has 1,000 statues. They all point inward to the towns to protect the town. They only have 7 statues that face away from the island. They're known as the Seven Sisters or Seven Brothers in Rapa Nui, and they face directly to Australia Stonehenge. And Australian Stonehenge, Mount Warning gets the first light of Australia. So the first beam of light, regardless of the ocean level, hit the Mount Warning where the Mount Chikogan is, where the child is born energy. And so you've got English Stonehenge directly beneath. You've got the 7 worshippers worshipping the sunrise, hitting the Australian Stonehenge in the centre.
And interestingly enough, when you go over here, there's a mountain or stone forest, and there's human faces there that are looking directly at Easter Islands.
And you will see those human faces are the same types that we get here that I showed you one of the photos of. Keep on going. There's so much to show. They found an Egyptian boat here, just near the Australian Stone arrangement. Or I'll tell you better than that. They found a carving of Egyptian boat as like an honor, like a welcome memorial. Basically, they found the Egyptian boat, the 2 aunts. This was found in 1955. A stone carving. Jack had told me about this too, but they'd lost it. It got taken away. A lot of things got stolen after 1955 when the second expedition there. And so interestingly, the ankh, the Egyptian ankh, is a cross and circle. The anchor, which can also be the woman's symbol, and the cross circle is a symbol of Australia's Stonehenge, and which became the ankh for the Egyptian. And they had a big carving to honour the Egyptians who arrived here to learn. On the river, just up the river. This is people saying that if you rebuild Australia's Stonehenge, this is not me, but there are at least 7,000 people believe it, that they believe and these aren't people just in Australia, but around the world, like tribal people from South America, near where you just pointed out, with the faces, have arrived here and said, if we build a Stonehenge, because it could be a machine, it's like a battery or recharge Uluru, and that'll make all the other ancient sites around the world activate. And it'll heal the world. And they believe that's a prophecy. The South American tribes, I forget their names, but they came here during one of these big get-togethers here in Byron Bay to say that the prophecy is it recreates, it will save the world. Anyway, here's Graham Hancock coming to the site. He checked out the site. There's Eric Von Daniken. I took him there to the site. And then you've got Evan Stephen Strong. And so basically the most well-known archaeologists, pseudo-archaeologists, alternative theorists, archaeologists are fascinated in it. And they've come there. But no one can talk about it because the whole theory is it all came from Europe. And then they taught here, so it's all weird. Yeah. Move on. Have we got any more? Oh, yeah. See if you can. I think that... and then I've got videos. After this, I've actually just got videos and reenactments. But I've got so much more to show. I've got another 200 images or whatever. I'm not going to go to it. I'm here to listen and talk. So if there's anything you want me to show you, but I've got I haven't even shown the South American connection with the Olmecs and the mercury in the bowls and the big magnets and the magnetic heads. And I didn't even show you the images of what they're doing with the studies of magnetic waves in the book. I think it's called the book. There's so many pictures I still haven't shown. So I've got a movie. It's all in my movie.
We should organize one of these weekends sometime to go through this, Richard, and really learn the connections of what's happening around the world and the connection with Australia. Yeah,
I can't. You name it. I have so much to tell you. I'm just all I'm doing is little touch samples of what I've got here. But the next step is next step is obviously more scientific. We want to get into the scientific research, but we're not allowed to because if you ask the government about it, as I think I said, they said it's secret. It's a sacred site. Can we know anything about it? And they say only if you're Indigenous and you're born there. But no one could have been born there because they're all massacred most of them were massacred by 1890. So because we can't prove we're born there, we can't know about it. I can't even ask why it's secret because that's secret. But it's what I can say out of the 10,000 sacred sites or registered sacred sites in Australia, this is number 7, as there are only 7 sites in Australia that are sacred for both its geographical, like its landform, as well as its artifacts. Usually they're sacred because they might have paintings or they find a stone or an axe, but this is sacred because of the land shape. There's only 7 sites in Australia sacred for the land being changed. But we can't get any information, not even Indigenous people can be told anything about it. We're not allowed to go there because we get a big fine of like $300,000 imprisonment every year.
Wow.
So no one can do anything. And the local newspaper, listen to this, I'll tell you this. I went to the local newspaper and I said, hey, here's a stone arrangement that's been on CNN, the 94 million Americans have seen, that I talk about, that people are interested in, and you're the local newspaper, will you publish something on this? And he wrote back to me, and he said, I've got his emails, I can show you his name, his emails. And he said, oh, no, because we don't know if it's true. I said, but if Jack Spratt says there's a giant UFO at the window, you'll publish it. It doesn't matter if it's true. It's interesting. Let the people decide. And then he said, well, no. He said, I'm not publishing it because the Indigenous here, who are on the land council, who decide who owns the land, where the money goes, there's 7 of them, said there's never been a stone arrangement here at all. No, never no arrangement. Even though all that stuff I just showed you, even though the sketches from, and I've got experts in my book from universities, Rodwell University of Newcastle, saying there are stone arrangements here. And then I sent him all that information to say, but there are experts. And then he said, I think it's a case of expert against expert, so I won't continue. And so the local paper will refuse to mention it. Yet around the world, you can hear about it. But what I didn't show you is how they destroy the stone arrangements. That's on my video where I believe they made the Brunswick heads and waters there. Basically, they made these heads, these big, they basically got 10,000 40-ton rocks of cement and dumped them into the sea. And in that process in the 1960s, that's where they got rid of the other stone arrangements. They pulverized them. First, they tore them down. There were a few bits left. The more interesting carvings of feet and crocodiles and things went missing in 1955. They were in the dairy shed that the second expedition from the other historical society in Lismore went to. The Richmond Historical Society went there in 1955. The lady, Daly, who was in charge of that, was a well-known socialite, connected with New York and the Rockefellers and all that. She wasn't to be looked lightly. She said they were all there, what was left. She took sketches and made carvings. Then that a few nights later, it all disappeared. By 1960, I believe, by then 1960, the Premier of New South Wales stood there while they dumped on the opening day. Him watching it happen, not knowing that they've just pulverized and turned to powder. What could be maybe 10,000 to 120,000 years of history. But the pieces are still left. We still have the maps, and they trade in crystal here, and the world's most famous crystal place is called Crystal Castle. The biggest crystals in the world are here again, come from Bolivia, because this is what they do here. There's this energy of trading crystals. So it's a huge tourist resort. You can sit in a giant thunder egg and take photos. So weird traditions continue, but other things are being destroyed completely. And I, being white, you can imagine what happens here. I've had death threats and all that. You can imagine. Yeah. And a lot of people, and I get a lot of elders say that they're elders, but they're not the elder, and it's hard. And the problem is the Indigenous who complain here, and they say, what you don't like to talk about. The problem is they're the ancestors of the people who killed the Aborigines, because they were the native police. The white people got the native police from Queensland to come down and kill everyone here. They did that, but then they couldn't go back home. So the descendants of the people who helped the massacres, who did the actual killing, or they'd be killed, are the people who live here who have nothing to do with the stone arrangement, really, because this was a very small area. Like George was saying, that pygmy species is a very small area of the barrenness, where they only in that. This was like a subtropical mountainous area with its very specific language. It was a language that only traveled for a few kilometers, but then the sacred language was known by everyone. So basically, Slater found writing. He found the first alphabet, I believe, and then they broke the alphabet. And if you look at also what they would have seen in 1840, when the timberloggers come to there, remember, they're Christians. They believe in Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. And then they see naked black men, with fire at night around a giant tree in the center, like the Eden tree, made in the shape of a giant snake, the serpent. To them, it would have been almost like almost satanic.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, very demonic, satanic.
Yeah, they wouldn't have understood it. You're worshiping the snake that is even, and they're all naked, and there's, what I mean, and howls, and the way the music is, and the DMT, and all that stuff. No wonder they just got their guns blazing and shot everyone they could. The timber getters. Who are these evil people? And they just shot them down. The massacre started. And that's why this thing was left alone. Luckily, there was no one to know about it. But by the time when people got like when I found in 2013, and I was showing the site and the stones, I'm picking the stones up. Although I could go to prison, but it hadn't yet been registered. It wasn't registered as sacred site until after I discovered it. Till then, I was just in ruin. But I had the stones. I'm like, do I leave them here? I've just told the guy I found it again, and last time he knew about this with his 19, he bulldozed the whole thing down. And in 1988, he dug away another part of that 5 King Mound. I've got more photos to show you where he tried to destroy it a second time, because that's when the bicentennial happened, where there was big talk in 1988 because of the bicentennial of when people arrived here, the whites, of human land rights and give the Aborigines their land back. And he panicked and started to try to destroy it a second time at the small amount. But the big one, luckily, it's like 40,000 tons. So big, he can't break it, luckily, even though he owns an earth moving company, or did. And it's funny his name's Bashforth.
Holy jeez.
His name's Bashforth, and he bashed the stones down. And funny enough, when he showed me when he was the year before he died, the site, he fell over and hit his head on one of the stones and bashed his head on one of the stones that he bulldozed. And we're worried he was going to die, and he died a year later.
There's some karma.
There's things going on. There's things. Yeah. Anyway, I said so much. I feel like I've just talk a lot. Who wants to talk to me or ask me something? I'll shut up.
Do you know that the language that you're talking about, if that language is connected to the Magyar language?
Yeah. Yeah, there is I notice it's the most recent research is moving towards that. I've noticed that with Magyar just recently. But remember this, so the languages, the symbols you see in European caves, those glyphs, they're very much part of that Magyar order, and I have that displayed in my book. And you'll see those symbols in the glyphs you see in where they have the caves of the bisons in France, and those sort of ones that say 20, 30 to 50,000 years old. Those symbols are built into the Magyar world language, which are on the Stonehenge. So it's shared, because I believe there was a 5,000, 10,000, sometime up to maybe 50,000 years ago, a prehistoric worldwide civilization that worked with stones. And I believe they had a reason. They have stone arrangements that are 50,000 years old. They're found in caves, and they have stalactites. And the stone arrangements are, once again, double circles and crosses. They're found in cave systems, and they're found 30,000 years before we find evidence of human burial.
We have those up here in Canada as well.
Yeah. So they were more keen when they, do we eat food? Do we stop the saber-tooth tiger? Do we bury my wife? No, I'd rather make a circle of stones. And they wanted to make these things for many thousands of years. They had a reason. It was so imperative. There was more, as important as their survival. So it wasn't just a hobby. They were up to something. And Slater said it was a machine, and he thought he knew what it was going to do. And then they got locked away.
Got a question from Who Am I? From Watchers Talk at Richard. Could you tell if a weather piece of sandstone that had been shaped by an abrasive eons ago had either been manipulated?
No. The thing is, with all the archaeology we're dealing with, when you get to 50,000 years plus, you just make up years. You don't, with carbon dating goes up to back to 50,000 years. And when it comes to stones, they can be dated within approximately, I think it's about 10,000 years or 100,000 years. Once you go back, I think after 10,000 years, forget it. You'll never really know. It's just old. So these stones I'm talking about here are a product of natural forces, most likely. But it happened so long ago, it's hard. I don't think we can determine what's artificial and natural to that age. But here, unlike Jericho, that's mainly desert and some molested by the elements, here where we get massive amounts of rainfall, we get massive tsunamis. The meteor struck here apparently 500 years ago near here in New Zealand caused a mega tsunami to hit here. There was 100 feet high. So a lot of elements happen here, a lot of water erosion. The volcanic, no. But yeah, they rapidly decay. The stones that were pulled down in 1945, the good thing is they weren't the stones that were put up, because they were built up so long ago, and there's evidence that they were crystal, and that's what I've got more slides than the other 200 slides to show that Mount Warning made crystals. That's why you have Crystal Castle here, and that's what they used to trade in crystals. And these crystals, which were made like the ones in Mexico, we're talking about massive tree trunk sized crystals. That's what they could grow here, because the fact is the volcano of 20 million years being so close to the ocean meant you could have water underneath the caldera as the slow cooling happened. So you got chambers where crystals could grow at different types and different forms and different sizes and different speeds, almost like crystal farming around this area.
I just want to make a comment. I'm checking out the chat room in Forgotten Origins. This is not pre-recorded, guys. We've been live since 6 o'clock this morning, and we are engaged in the chat rooms. We've got about 8 chat rooms going, so we're trying our best to jump from chat room to chat room to see what's going on in the chat room, and if there are any questions for Richard or any of our speakers, we've been bringing them up. So, nothing pre-recorded on Watchers Talk, guys.
With that question before about the stones, remember the stones were bulldozed and graded. And he drives over. Well, not him; he's dead now. But his family don't mind driving. Probably drive over him today. And cows poo all over and trample it down. And how do you get scientific with that? It was even in the 1930s. It hadn't been touched for years. For decades, it was covered in debris.
That's how you destroy a culture. Just bulldoze it. Right?
Well, the thing is, because of the time length in Australia, you could literally have a Joko city take thousands of years to be developed, exist for thousands of years to decay and become a mound, and have that happen several times over, and still before Captain Cook got here. And then, you know, every landmass in Australia has evidence of cities and stone arrangements. They get to this landmass that's inhabited, there's no evidence. They shouldn't have thought, oh, well, it wasn't here. They should have thought, when was it here last?
Yeah.
They didn't see it, so they said it didn't exist. When I would think, if I've been to every other place in the world and seen it and got to a place where it wasn't, and there were people, I would not assume automatically it wasn't. I assume it was, and we couldn't find it. It was that old. So they should have gone on that. But instead, the idea was there's nothing ever. Because their concept of history went back to the Bible of about maybe 5,000 years ago. It was only then that Charles Darwin was coming out with millions of years. So a lot of these experts, so-called experts, were still Christians, believing on a very small time scale where everything happened in the last 10,000 years, nothing beyond that. Or if it was 10,000 years, I thought it was like 500 million years. They just made up a number beyond that.
Yeah.
They just never. We're doing I don't think that the Western mind could comprehend the length of time of the indigenous and people from other areas, because they're thinking in 5,000 years, not 50,000 years.
Yeah,
it's moving into that dream time.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The Western culture there, timeline ends at like 6,000-7,000 years, and anything older than that is either a myth, a folklore, or it just simply didn't exist. But if it was Christian based, then it was real, right? But but if it's any other culture or any other society, then then it's pseudoscience or it's fake or it just simply doesn't exist. And that's pretty sad that even in this day and age that we're approaching these sensitive sites, archaeological sites in that manner, right? It just seems like we haven't grown up, right?
I heard a beautiful analogy, Omar, with beavers. The idea is you see a beaver and beaver makes a dam. They've always made dams and they're an animal. They build structures, and there was never a time they didn't. We could never imagine a beaver without a dam. So it evolved with the building. The building evolved as the dam, as the beaver evolved. And I heard someone say, maybe it's the same human beings. Maybe we evolved. We were always building from the monkey in the tree or wherever we were meant to come from. We were always builders. So they're looking at this time where we started to build, but we shouldn't. There was never a time we weren't. And there's this idea that we only invented the house. There must be some part where we suddenly built structures. No, we always were. And why do they just want to put a delineate? Why do they want to put an arbitrary? It's because they don't want to know what the past tells them. They don't want to know that there might be some sort of knowledge and science and wisdom that was already there. I'm a teacher. I know what it's like. You tell everyone when they're in grade prep they're wrong, and then by they're at the end of high school, you tell them everything they told you or knew, but you just use bigger words for it. So they want to. It's the knowledge. They want to be the ones who give out the knowledge, and they don't like the idea. See, if there was a treaty written by the Indigenous, and it was there, and they just didn't bother to read it, and they destroyed it, which was what I believe the message of Stonehenge about how to live in harmony in the world and with each other, then they aren't. Then what do the English do? Go back home? No, they can't go back. They're going to break it. Like Jack said he's Aborigine. Jack is the white guy who bulldozed it. He said, "What do they talk about Aboriginals? I'm an Aboriginal. I was born here. I'm as Aboriginal as anyone else. I can do what I want on my land."
Yeah, that's perverting it a little bit. If you're native, if you're born on the land to where you're born, but you're not Aboriginal, right? Since genetically you're not an Aboriginal, you may be a native of the land, but that's kind of where it stops if you're born.
Yeah.
I got a question here coming from what channel is this? Forgotten Origins is from Friday. With Mateo is asking, has any progress been made to protect the Carrion site? That's where the Egyptian hieroglyphs and stuff are, right?
Yeah. Should I know that there hasn't been much progress. There's progress in destroying it. Yeah. There's a big movement there where the locals just want to get rid of the tourists and seal it all up and make it not be there.
Tinkle Tink, I love the YouTube names. Why did they hate him so much? Because he showed them up.
Are we talking about Slater?
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure. Tinkle Tink, maybe you want to rephrase that question or put a little bit of context.
I think what it is why do they hate him so much? Because he showed up, because he's telling the truth. I think that's a comment more than it is
okay.
yeah.
They're talking about Richard. Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about you, Richard.
Yeah.
The people don't like the truth.
We're gonna have Richard on here many, many times, and if you don't like it, just simply don't watch. This is part of disclosure, and we have to have respect for one another, even if you disagree with one's research or their thoughts. To be disrespectful towards someone is just, it's not acceptable. Really, it's childish.
What about this one from Joel Lay? Do you know anything about the underworld Nullarbor caves? South Australia has stone snakes running along the ley/dragon lines.
Oh, that's on Forgotten Origins too, right?
Yeah. Just saw that pop in.
Well, I've never seen the non-Medall site myself, Friday.
So just a quick thing I should have said at the beginning, I guess, when I talked about the whole archaeology of Australia. If the Indigenous were here for 120,000 years, as they now time it to, then most of the existence that the Indigenous were here, which is, if you look about 70,000 years of that time, is now underwater. So most of, I keep on looking this way outside my window where I can see the beach, but basically it went back out. It was about 30 to 60 kilometers more land in the olden days. Like, to put it simply, there was the coast. We live on the mountaintops, which we now think is the coast. Where the Australian Stonehenge is now, which is near a coastal area, was when it was built, and most of the time the Indigenous were here, it was actually at the mountaintops like Machu Picchu, like the Andes. And the beach and the lowlands are now underwater. So most of where they lived for most of the time is now buried underwater. So when we really want to find stone arrangements, they're all there because it would not be. So you're more likely to find a whole bunch of things. We're going to find, as we start to explore the coastal areas of Australia and other parts of the world, that's where we're really going to find things if they decide to let us know. But most of it's underwater, unfortunately, the best examples, I'd say, because that's where most of the people would have been most of the time here. So
here's a positive comment. I like positive comments. Bob Kenter, Omar and Company, that would be Clarence, Greg Bornstein, and Rob Yacht. What phenomenal work and people you have pulled and are pulling together this weekend and after. Fantastic for posterity and our human history. Indeed. Thank you very much, Bob. I really appreciate that comment. Appreciate the love. The entire intention behind this convention or this conference is to bring information forth that hardly anybody knows or is controversial that nobody wants to talk about, right? And I'm thankful for Richard that you came here and you shared your thoughts with us, and and gave us a download and made us understand as to the sites that are in Australia, how they're being destroyed, and they're not being kept up, and how there's the suppression happening. So I appreciate that, and there should be no hate for that. This is the reason why we're in the position that we're in today, because of this division that we continue to create for ourselves when it's avoidable, right? It's avoidable. It's
avoidable. Look, we don't. I was talking to a friend the other day about this. The mother of my children is Japanese, but 50 years ago, I would have probably had to have shot it. Before World War II, if you asked the Western about the Oriental world, they would have said, "Yeah, it's nice, but I'm not that interested. It's something I see is on a TV commercial." Would have, and why? Because their culture was really interesting. They didn't care. They didn't need to know about the other people, the others. So World War II got the Japanese person in America and just said, "You know what? You don't even look at each other. Know nothing about your culture. Try to kill each other. Force each other to kill each other. So you now really need to know about each other. I need to know my enemy. So by learning the enemy, you respect the enemy. You understand their culture. So where there's a lot of conflict, but perhaps it's all about we're really throwing different sides together. We're throwing science into spirituality. We're really the idea that we can be free individuals and there shouldn't be secrecy and hate and division is now coming into play. And of course there's going to be conflict, but I think there is going to be learning. I think the stones can wait. I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's just I just don't like that type of behavior. It's just, especially when it comes to education, especially this type of education that we're trying to learn and unlearn at the same time. And it just makes it very difficult when you have negativity and just very dense energy rolling around. It really affects everyone. And
it does. But I go this way. I just think, look, if I'm in a world, if I live in a world where if I find fun stuff to talk about, which is really interesting, which can make us learn a lot of stuff and have us have wild, great times and connect and love each other. If by doing that, I get killed, I'm in the wrong dimension. There must be heaps of dimensions. Let's just bad luck for this one. So I get killed. I go somewhere else. I get killed if I speak the truth. I go somewhere else. Sooner or later, I hit the right dimension. I shouldn't hit a brick wall in this dimension. You want to get the way out of the maze. I'm not going to be too tense. If there is a universe out there, you can tell the truth and people can be good and you're not shot.
Yeah. Oops, did the wrong
and at least we live in at least this universe. You get away with saying something for a while.
Yeah.
Just remember that, Omar, when we get banned from YouTube and have to go to Rumble with all the content for now on. That attitude.
Boy.
There's always another dimension.
That's yeah. When we're on Parlor doing this, it's just another dimension. Richard's right. It's another dimension.
Yeah, we're in the wrong dimension. Keep on practicing for the right one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's a beautiful comment from Marnie Kent. Thank you, Richard. I'm Aboriginal, and I'm so grateful for your research and giving us the truth finally. Truth will always win out. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you. Well, I know as a teacher, when I've taught Indigenous classrooms at Wollumben, which is the name of the high school, which is the name of the Indigenous name for Mount Warning. And when I walked in there, you walk there and they have this big sign at the front that says sorry. We're all sorry about what we've done to you. So you walk in and everyone's sorry for you. Okay. And that's what you get, this big banner. Okay. Yeah, and then it's all these people who are meant to be felt sorry for, that everyone's hush hush and like there's some special, there's special people who are going to collapse. And then I walk in there and I say, hey guys, to the year 10 boys, hey, did you know you guys might have built something? Here's a city. And they just flip out that under their feet was this, and they walk out like their chests are puffed up. Like, it's not because I've told them that I guess the thing is, unfortunately, in the Western world, the idea of a city means something. If you can have a bigger sword and the power crystal, it means something. So for them to be able to walk out of the classroom and say, you know what, you guys think you're good because you had a city, or you think you knew science. It's, that pride, that sense of identity, that sense of who they are is an amazing thing, And I was the wild kid at school. That's the word they use here in Australia for a person who's Greek. I was beaten up and punched, and just for being ethnic, for having the word Peteslos after in my name. In a country town, I didn't have friends as a kid simply because I was the wog. And my parents, not my parents, my grandparents, a lot of them died in the concentration camps in Europe, in Latvia. So I know what it's like with massacres.
Sorry to hear that, Richard.
No, that's all right. But yeah, they were burnt on my mother's side. So I understand. But Indigenous people here look at me and say, "You don't understand." And but I think I think they can't understand that I don't understand. If I don't understand them, there must be parts of me they don't understand. So how can they judge that? It's language and semantics, and people are just afraid. And a lot of people who are aggressive, a lot of Indigenous people come up to me aggressively. They're not aggressive. They just have to be like that because they get beaten up, they get in prison, they get, it's a bad time for Indigenous people here.
Mm-hmm. Canada as well. We just recently found 2,000 bodies of children in residential schools just here.
Yeah, that's in the news here.
Just here in Western Canada, not to mention what's happening in Eastern Canada and what they haven't found.
Well, I can't. I don't. I've done a lot of research. You can't help some of the things when you really research things in Australia. And I have to say that what they find in Canada, they'll find here in a few years' time. And unfortunately, I can't even. And I'm talking that close to where I'm talking.
Worse in Australia, probably 10 times as worse down there.
There are people who will tell me stories about just they'll say this church here and that school there, and I just have to just wait because I'm talking about a massacre. People are saying, the thing is, they're saying, if the arrangement was there, why didn't the Aborigines know? Well, because you killed them.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, the existing Indigenous think I'm knocking them for not taking care of it, when I'm surprised they can even stay sane in this reality.
Here's a wonderful question coming in from Joel Lay from Forgotten Origin, asking, have you seen or know of the faces on the cliffs of the Great Australian Bight, like Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know about I used to live in Victoria, which was part of the Great Ocean Road, which moves into the Seven Sisters and there. But I don't know about them, but I do know that every day I'm receiving information, as you all do. You know, people are constantly saying it comes out of the woodwork. There's so much to discover for everyone here. Yet there's this race to keep what's, you know, we can't even preserve things because people don't even think they're real. And yeah, there's so much to put together. So much, yeah. How do we do it? We don't have enough people. But that's the problem. The Indigenous people, they don't have enough. You know, it's like, you know how I said that I get death threats and things. Look, I've told the Indigenous, I say, look, if you all in this local area who say they don't exist, if you get together and stop me, then at least I did something because you got together on something. If by getting together you prevent me from talking, I'm grateful because for the first time in your lives you actually organize yourselves.
That's good thought.
Yeah, that's my legacy. You know, it's weird.
Another question from Joel from Forgotten Origin. It says, were the Uru the giants? If so, I have so much evidence of massive footprints in stone, wondering where they fits in.
Footprints in stone. You know, there's these big giant footprints in stones. The Australian Stonehenge, when Slater examined it in 1938, when they mapped it all out, what they found was a carving, which made no sense to me at the time when I read about it, was of a foot. There was a giant carved foot. I can't even show the dimensions, but it was looked again at 1955 by the Richmond Valley Historical Society, the other museum people, in the other town, Lismore, and that foot was in the tree in the center of the stone arrangement, the center tree. And what you have basically is the idea of the snake is energy. The snake is basically like lightning, and the foot is the foot on the lightning. The earth, we've got this natural flow of energy, and the human foot stamps it and holds the snake on the ground and takes that, like you see in Egypt. You know, the idea that they have a lot of images of the gods sort of pinning the snake down. And the idea of the rod and the pinning is a bit like the Benjamin Franklin idea, the idea of taking that magnetic energy, that electrical energy, the life energy that the earth is generating. And so when you see those feet, and you see them in Indigenous cultures, I've seen this where they use the foot to symbolize it's that stepping on, it's the mastery of, it's like the Gorgon, it's like the slaying of the Medusa. It's that idea that you're taking that feminine energy that the earth is randomly creating and in the magnetic fields, and you're beginning to build it into a machine. And the idea is you've got these stones which are half iron, half quartz, that don't produce anything apparent, but put them there for 100,000 years, and the creeping effect of that starts to play out upon the world. And so the foot, that foot got destroyed. But the idea, I know it sounds weird, but those big feet you see in India, I believe, are the remnants of that prehistoric civilization, one world civilization, where the foot honored the idea of the human being interceding into the other dimension, into the vortex, where these particular spots in the world where the ley lines were fulcrumed, where they were like stepped down and overlaid and pressured. It was both symbolic and both both physical.
That makes sense.
I taught physics. I don't know if you know that, but I taught physics for a few years in England I think it's called GCSQ, like the A-level physics. And that's where I got involved in magnetic fields and things and what they do. And yeah, so basically that's what I believe that's about. And that's why in the tree, I call it lightning place, because the tree was actually the way you bury your great ancestors. If you're a great hero and you're killed, you'll put in a tree. And if it was the most sacred tree on the hill, the lightning strikes would hit the tree and you'd be into the stars. And that's how they buried their ancestors. And the lightning tree, the tree was a carved tree of the spirals in the center, as I can show. I've got photos in my book of all the trees around here did that. That was just peculiar to this area. So the idea with so that's where the foot comes into it. And so I hope I've helped to answer that question that gentleman had.
Yeah, very interesting, because there's that giant's foot in South Africa as well that Michael Tallinger has shown a few times. It's, it's like...
Yeah.
It's huge.
And you wonder why the feet, you say to yourself, why are the feet this pressure? Why are they flat? But the thing is, if you're pinning energy fields down, you're playing with. Oh, I wish I had a computer to show this. I wish I had more. I've got my photos, but I'll have to use my hands. But yeah, basically, what you're doing is that you're by using it's like deflecting. It's like steering the energy. Anyway, I won't go into it because it's too silly. Like I have to use big words. But yeah, the foot means something, and I'll go into that later. It's in my book.
Look at that.
It's free.
Bob Carter just mentioned Michael Tallinger's giant foot with Klaus Donna in South Africa here as well. All right, guys. This is 9 o'clock, and we've been live now for 15 hours. This is one of the longest streams that we have done in Watchers Talk history. I think the longest one was like 13 hours, Clarence, something like that, 13, 14 hours, just around there somewhere. So
yeah, 13 was our longest one.
So we beat the record today with 15 hours. That was wonderful. What a great day today was. We just had some fantastic downloads coming at us all day long. We started with Stephen Cummins, then we went to Graham Phillips, and then we went to who else came on after that? I believe it was it's been no, actually I'm just looking at the wrong day. It was Stephen Cummins, and then Renata Zach. And then we had Bebu Dev Mizra, Aaron Fowler, Geraldine Orozco, John Shaughnessy, Eric J. Hecker, Michael Cremo, Mary Rodwell, Stephen and Evan Strong, George McTrovick, and finally Richard Patterson. Like, wow, what a fantastic day today was. And tomorrow is looking just as same. So tomorrow actually is going to be a really cool day. Here, let me just quickly run through the schedule for you guys. Saturday, August 7th, we begin stream at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will begin with Stephen Cummins, who's going to be talking about the original Magyar language, and then we have Graham Phillips, then our very own Rob Yox. Neil Gore is not going to be able to make it, and then we'll have Norma Rasmussen, Ildi Budai, Constance Victoria Briggs, Jason Martell, Stephen and Evan Strong, Leah Capitelli, Salrita Antaria, Oli Demengard, and then finally Paul Wallace at the end of the day. So tomorrow is looking like a wonderful, wonderful day as well. And, we got 3 more days to go. Today was, we're close to the hump day. So, it's been great. Thank you very much, Richard. I really appreciate you, brother. Thanks for your time.
Come visit me sometime. I get so bored in the middle of nowhere in Australia. Come over here.
Canada. I'm not allowed to travel because I'm being disobedient. So, I don't think they're going to let me out of the country. But maybe one of these years they might lift all the restrictions and they might allow us to travel. And then for sure, I'd like to come down to Australia. I have a lot of friends in Australia, and I'd like to do a full country tour, start on the East Coast and or the West Coast, and work my way to the East Coast, or whatever the case may be.
And I read the biographies of people who were talking today for the conference over the day. It's amazing people.
Yeah,
so
very amazing.
Yeah, I feel very, very honored and humbled to be here. So thank you.
You are the ones who we've been waiting for. That's what that's what I said earlier this morning to Geraldine, and it's very true. You guys are just epic researchers and authors, and you've put your time in. A lot of time in some cases. Like George, he started to write a book in 1975 that didn't publish until just last year. Like 42, 43 years in the making. So, there's, that's what I call epic research. Yeah. That's why I say, you guys are the ones that we've been waiting for, because this is the type of information that the world requires right now. And, I'm only concerned about the people that are on this train track and not that train track, because obviously they've made their choice and I've made my choice, and we're at the crossroads now. And this is the type of information that everyone needs to know. And everything that our speakers told us yesterday, starting with Eleanor, right up until this evening with you, Richard. So, thank you very much to every single person who has spoken here on Watchers Talk with Full Spectrum Universe and Closer Encounters and Open Loops. And, and especially a huge, huge thank you to everyone that's been watching us all day long, especially to Who Am I, Just a total trooper, here all day yesterday, here today. So thank you very much. You're grand. A lot of respect for that. And everyone else who's watching, thank you for the comments, thank you for the shares, and thank you for all the information that you guys have shared in the comments, and along with all the links that you've shared. It's just a wealth of information there, and I truly, truly appreciate it. So with that being said, Richard, do you have any final words for our audience?
Be safe, be good, love you all. Everything is going to be okay.
Right on. Wisdom, words of wisdom, those ones. Greg Bornstein, do you have any?
You love saying my name.
Greg Bornstein.
I love it. I love being here. I just want to thank all of you for Omar, Rob, Clarence, Richard, everybody who's been here. Leanne in the comments. Everybody. Everybody's been amazing. Again, thank you, Omar, for setting this. Oh, you're bringing her on. Yes, thank you for setting this up. This has been so fantastic. My mind's been blown left and right. There's just people need to talk about this. People need to keep talking about this. And for those of you in the comments asking questions and contributing, thank you for your work and your words. It really helps us continue to have these dialogues and push people to expand their sense of what's going on in the world, which in turn will expand what's happening in your inner world, which is really what we're all here to do together. So excited to be here and with all of you again tomorrow.
Awesome. Clarence, you have final words? Looks like Liane froze, or is she?
Yeah, I think she did.
Yeah.
Called herself the Flash. Oh, I just want to thank everybody for participating, and another great day, long day, but a great day. We learned a lot today again, and I thank all the guests and everything, and all the comments and the people that's been sticking around, throughout the whole day. Fantastic. I love it. So, and tomorrow we're going to do it all over again. So here we go.
That's right. And tomorrow we're going to be a little bit more prepared. I didn't realize that the stream keys needed to be reset. So when we tried to go live in our second part of our conference today, it was a gong show. And, so we're prepared tonight. Going to make sure that everyone's going to reset their stream keys. So tomorrow is not going to be that much of a problem. A huge thank you to Liane. She's a trooper, just like who. She was here all day yesterday. She gave us a light language prayer yesterday morning, and then we closed off with that. And then she was here all day today, and I really loved having you here with us, Liane. It's been wonderful. Do you have anything? Do you have anything to add before we close out for the day?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding me? I'm so grateful for these spaces, all of them. I mean, you guys, I have to admit, I've never, ever experienced Watchers Talk before yesterday. And I didn't know how. I didn't understand. I get it now. Hi. So grateful to all the speakers. And I, too, am very, 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 very flattered that you asked me to do a light language yesterday. Anytime, and if anybody wants to come visit my channel, shameless promotion, ride in the frequency. I'll have more stuff coming up here and there. And I'm streaming these guys live too. So proud of that. I figured out my stream key. Yay!
And we will stream there tomorrow as well. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Go and subscribe. The channel is called High Frequency.
Right.
Frequency.
Yeah, here. It's rising frequency, and frequency is spelled FREAKWENCY. Because we are.
Yeah, we are freaks that are on a frequency bend here for sure.
Cheers.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's been a super long day. I think I need to stand and stretch for a while. And my kitties are looking at me. I think they want some supper, and I think I'm just gonna chill with them for the next couple hours and get ready for tomorrow morning. So with that being said, thank you very much, everyone. Much love to you all. Lots of respect for everyone. Please share these streams with friends and family with whom you think will benefit from this information.
Whoa.
Have a wonderful night. My name is Omar with Watchers Talk, coming at you guys from British Columbia, Canada. Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you, everybody. Thank you. Wonderful.